Welcome back. We're reconvening our 2017 budget review. We're going to go into the flagged items that we had that Council identified that they wanted to have further discussion about. So, Council, I don't have, so I'll have to ask for your support in terms of the who flagged the item. As you see them come up, if you could sort of identify yourself. All of these items were identified ahead of time. Administration gave a bit of an introduction. We should be at the point where we're looking on the majority of these ones, certainly the ones that are on the slides, the majority of these we should be looking for an action. And that would be to include, I think in most cases, okay? And so the first one up was the pilot program for the development of a pop-up retail incubator in the downtown. I believe Councillor Clayton had done that one. Councillor Clayton?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would encourage Council to support this expenditure of $20,000. It has been a great discussion and initiative to build businesses and grow potential small homes, small businesses into larger entities. They will have an opportunity to learn what it's like to be in retail. They'll have an opportunity to not make it complete full investment, but of opening a storefront, but the opportunity to get a taste of it, and then in turn, these people we could build into permanent retailers within our community. And I think for the small expenditure, it's a great economic growth opportunity.
So, Councillor Clayton, are you making a motion?
I am making a motion to include the $20,000 in today's budget.
In the 2017
operating budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So open for discussion debate. Councillor Rice.
I'm speaking against it. I think that if we proceed with the incubator program, which is far more developed at this point than the pop-up shop, I think you'll be playing your part in growing business. If you looked at the Chamber Small Business Awards this year and attended there, I think you would be as amazed as everybody in the audience was at the number of new businesses that opened this last year in this economy. So I don't think it's necessary at this point.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. Any other discussion or debate? I don't see anybody in the queue. I'll take an opportunity. I'll just say that I support the motion. I support it on the basis that there are relatively few levers that we have as a city to really directly support economic development. I mean real economic development, having support business development. I see this as a great niche that is in alignment with our focus on the downtown core, trying to ensure that it's a diverse retail environment. And particularly in this economy, I think this is where this small measure of support can have an outsized impact on the prosperity of Grande Prairie residents. So for those reasons, I'll be supporting it. Councillor Logan.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask if the pop-up shop is meant to be only in the appropriate zonings?
My understanding is that this would be limited, the opportunity would be limited to currently vacant spaces within the CC district, only within the CC district. Councillor Clayton?
Just in closing, if there's no one else, I encourage Council to support this, because how it's different than the business incubator in the sense that it will fill gaps within our retail and our CC district. So not only will it enhance what's happening with the incubator, it's an additional service where we will have to have, or we will be able to have continuous retail and services throughout the CC district downtown, and it will it makes business adaptable, and it allows for empty spaces that continually are changing so that our downtown is continually vibrant. So thank you.
Councillor Clayton, so that will close debate. I will call for the vote on Councillor Clayton's motion to include this in the 2017 operational budget. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does not carry, so we'll move on to the per capita tourism funding. Councillor Rice, I believe this was your motion. You'll have to turn your microphone on.
I would move that we add an additional $16,905 for the tourism budget. As we seen the presentation last year, we entered into an agreement to pay per capita funding to this organization, and our population grew, and we have an obligation, I believe, to increase the funding as to reflect the population growth. It isn't an increase in the amount, it's an increase in our population. So I would urge you to support this motion that we honor our commitment to pay a per capita amount.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Open for discussion and debate. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does carry. We'll move on to PAZA funding, Peace Airshed Zone funding. I think I had Councillor Rice, Councillor Thiessen, Councillor Rice.
I would move
You'll have to turn on your microphone, Councillor Rice.
that we add an additional $21,000 for a Peace Airshed membership. It is something we have shied away from for years, but I believe as we're seeing a greater community awareness and concern about air quality, it seems to me that now is the time for us to get on board.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Open for discussion and debate. Councillor Thiessen.
I too will be supporting this motion as made by Councillor Rice. I think we've been fortunate to be able to maintain our membership on the board for the amount of years that we've been involved with PAZA, but to that degree, I think there's been an ask based on our per capita amounts that we contribute to the organization to ensure that we have the relevant data and that the organization has the legs to run with that and monitor that. So I'll be fully in support of that motion by Councillor Rice.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. First, I just want to state my opinion that I think that the monitoring of air quality should be a cost borne by the province, and ultimately, I don't feel that it should be regional responsibilities, given the ubiquitous nature of air and how it affects, fires in Fort McMurray could affect us here, and so because of that, I think it should be provincial responsibility. However, with that said, this is the system that's in place right now, and while we can advocate for changes to that system, I think that we should be a part of this organization. However, with that said, I think that there is a flaw within the funding formula of the organization, and should this motion pass and should we have full membership on the association, I would appreciate whatever director is appointed there would be speak very much in favor of changing the funding formula to make it more based on a equalized assessment model or some other model that takes into account more than just per capita funding. And I think that being at the table and being a full member will have a voice there, and should that voice not be listened to, I think next year's council will have the ability to change and withdraw that membership.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. I see Councillor O'Toole's in the queue. I'll just inject myself here to say that I won't be supporting the motion. I agree that this should be a provincial responsibility. The City of Grande Prairie doesn't have authority to remedy anything or cause anything to happen. And I agree that the funding model is flawed, and the data will continue to be available to us whether or not we fund this. And so given the challenges that we have and the demands from the community, I don't believe that this is an area for us to step into what is essentially provincial jurisdiction just for the sake of doing it, in my view. Councillor O'Toole.
Yes, Mayor Gibbon, thank you very much for the ability to speak up here. I feel that the $21,000 they're asking for from the municipality is probably a doable expense, but saying that I think the industry itself should be funding this. When we compare ourselves to industries such as the ones that are located in around Grande Prairie, and the fees that they pay are around $20,000 as well. I am not going to support this either. I feel that this should be an industry driven, not a municipality. People are already paying for this service through their products that the industry is supplying. So with that, I think that the industry should be able to pay, a far higher expense, and it shouldn't be on the backs of the citizens of Grande Prairie. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. Any other discussion or debate? I don't see anybody in the queue. Then I will call for the vote. Do we need to cancel that vote? Okay, we'll cancel that vote and we'll restart. Okay, so I'll call for the vote to add the $21,000. Just to clarify, the handout that we received was for $20,566, and we heard from the delegation that the request was $21,000. So just to clarify. So I'll call for the vote on adding that $21,000 for the Peace Airshed Zone. Thank you. That motion does not carry. So that'll take us to French language marketing. This was highlighted by Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move that the French language marketing be brought in for the 2017 operating cost for $15,000. And just to speak to it, we've never set aside any monies for this type before when it's our other official language. And since I moved here since '91, we have grown considerably in French immersion. We got over 2,000 students. We have over 8,000 people in the city that speak French. And I just think it's a very smart move forward. So I hope you vote for it.
So Councillor McLean makes the motion to include this $15,000 in the 2017 budget. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I will be speaking in favor of this motion as well. Just would like to make a note. Last year, the city signed on to the Francophone Cities Network that was set up by the Mayor of Quebec City, looking at cities with French heritage. And Grande Prairie is a member of the network. And one of the things that we've signed on to do is to promote and expand the French culture and history within our communities, and I think this would go a long way in doing that. It's a small token thing, and it's just to to help with some translation materials. But I think that it's a small step in the right direction.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. I'll just say that I will be supporting the motion. I see it as a strategic investment rather than it is a small but strategic investment that ensures that we're able to market Grande Prairie to a wider variety of people. And so I see this actually in an economic development vein, not necessarily a equity vein, but really economic development, being able to market Grande Prairie more broadly to potential residents and potential visitors. And so that's why I'll be supporting the motion. Any other discussion or debate? Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Long term, I see this could be useful. Right now, it's not on my priority list as a new service. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Councillor Clayton.
Mayor Given, I think that this initiative lends hand well to the tourism funding that we're going to do. I think that there's opportunity, of which tourism is known to be an economic driver across the province. It's a priority for the current provincial government, and this French language marketing ties in well with our priority of tourism. Therefore, I support the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. I don't see anybody else in the queue for discussion and debate. That being the case, I'll call for the vote. Please vote on adding the $15,000 to the 2017 operational budget for the French language marketing materials. Thank you. That motion does not carry. I did. And I was convinced by council. No, I am going to stick with that vote. I was convinced in the discussion about priorities, and that was the way that I voted, despite what I said. My apologies, but I am happy to be convinced up until the time that I push the button. I retain the right to change my mind until I push the button. The next was the Professional Services and Innovation Incubator. This one was raised by Councillor Rice. If you'll turn your microphone on.
Okay, we received information this week that there may be additional funding that we will be able to access for this project, and the funding we would be applying for would be in excess of 4 times what this amount of money is that we would bring into our community. And so for that reason, I look at this as an investment in more ways than one.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. Councillor Tarrant.
Mayor Given, I just had a question on this. So this provincial funding that we've been told about, is it a matching grant program?
Director Miyagi.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the mayor, I do not believe it's a matching. There is an amount that's provided to us. The announcement hasn't been made yet, however, but it's not a matching.
So it's not this funding's not the provincial funding's not contingent on us funding this amount.
Through the mayor, no, it's not.
Okay, Councillor Clayton.
From what I understand, this money is for a portion that won't be covered in the funds that we potentially will be receiving. So if we don't fund this part, we'll be short on the entire program with what the money the province will potentially give us.
Any potential provincial funds cover other parts of the program.
Right.
These funds don't go through, a portion of the program will not happen.
The program from the provincial government stipulates certain things it won't pay for, and this money supports the things that won't pay for.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor. I don't see anybody else in the queue. Director Miyagi.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, and I should clarify, that's exactly right, that this portion is very specific to a particular element that the grant does not cover. So although I did say that they're not contingent upon one another, it could compromise going forward with this program if that portion is not covered.
Thanks, Director Miyagi. Any other discussion? Seeing Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much. Under the slide there, we've got business 40,527 and then 56,906. That's for 2 different years. Can we fund one versus the other, or it's both?
Councillor Rice, you made the motion. I think it was the intent for both years.
Yeah, because it's that they would have to sign a lease, a 2-year lease, and so you need both.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Rice. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. That will take us to community living, I believe. And we'll start off with Grande Prairie Regional College athletics community programs. Councillor Clayton, I believe this was your item that you'd flagged.
Working through the pursuit of excellence over the last few years, I've seen some great programs coming through coach development. However, I don't feel that our community offers sort of the next level of coach development for the coaches in our community. There's a lot of entry level and initial training that happens through sport. However, this program that Grande Prairie Regional College wants to facilitate will sort of take coaches to that next level. Therefore, it will grow our programs, which in turn keeps our athletes and keeps our young people in the region and in our city to help build a stronger community. And I think that for a small amount of money, that this will be something that will be a legacy for athletes in years to come. And therefore, I'll make a motion to include in the operational budget, and the amount is $25,000, if I remember correctly, for the budget today. Thanks.
The request, Councillor Clayton, was $25,000 for 2017 and 2018. Is your motion
for both years? Yes, for both years.
For both years.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so open for discussion and debate. I'll just say, at the risk of confusing everyone and myself, that this is one that I would dearly like to support, and in any other budget year would, much like the French language program. Absolutely would want to support it, but this year, given our context, it just doesn't make my priority list, so I won't be supporting the motion. Councillor Radburn.
same with me. I think over time this may be good, but this is limited to college sports, and I'd like to see a program that's a little more wider in scope.
Councillor Clayton.
In speaking to both Mayor Given and Councillor Radburn's comments, one thing to keep in mind with collegiate sports and any sports is the great amount of tourism that sports creates in our community. The sports teams that travel, at whether it's collegiate or amateur level, provide a ton of hospitality dollars into our communities, and they even out the industry ebbs and flows, and sport tourism is substantially bigger than many people realize in our community, and something like this, I think, contributes to that factor.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. Any other discussion or debate? I don't see anybody in the queue, so I will call for the vote on adding $25,000 in each of 2017 and 2018 for the GPRC Athletics Community Programs. Please vote. That motion does not carry. The next up was the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum. And we'll deal with both the operating and capital here. First, we'll deal with the operating request of $150,000. And I think Councillor Rice, you made the operating motion, and we'll look to Councillor O'Toole next for the capital motion. So, Councillor Rice, can you speak to it to introduce it? You'll have to turn your microphone on.
And I might ask of clarification. We referred the amount of 150,000. Are we able to make a motion for a lesser amount, or do we have to do the full amount of referral and defeat it?
No, there's no requirement. You're free to. These items were flagged here for discussion. It's up to the council member or a council member to flag an amount that they wish to see included.
Okay, then I would move that we fund the operating budget of the Philip J. Currie Museum to $75,000. And I do that because it has proven to be a tourism draw. I believe it can develop to be an even greater tourism draw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Open for discussion, debate, a motion to fund operating support for the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum in 2017 to the amount of $75,000. Open for discussion, debate. I don't see anybody in the queue. I will just say that I unfortunately won't be supporting the motion. Again, in many other years, I would, and in the past have been supportive of the capital contribution of the City of Grande Prairie to the Dinosaur Museum, which was, I think, in the area of $3 million that we've supported to the construction of the facility. The City of Grande Prairie puts a significant amount of operating funding into city-owned facilities, and I think that that's an important contribution to capacity in our region. I think others need to be able to step up and support facilities to at least an equitable amount. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That motion does not carry. We have Councillor O'Toole, motion for 150,000. Sorry, not a motion. We have flagged capital contribution. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. It was in this last year that was mentioned during the presentation this afternoon or this morning that for the last year and a half, 2 years, they concentrated solely on the trying to get the name of the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum familiar within the world. And we've had people come from all over the world, as far away as China this year, Italy, Germany, England, and you pretty much name a country in Europe that we've had people show up. And because of the economy the way it is, we've had a lot of people come from North America traveling through. What I mean, from southern states all the way up from the East Coast, staying in Canada. One of the items that was mentioned was we have a traveling exhibit, and one of the costs to put that exhibit in is quite a bit of money. At a board level, it was discussed that we should concentrate on getting some local items that were harvested, collected in the region. And I would like to possibly make a motion. I will make a motion that we put $75,000 into a local exhibit with the City of Grande Prairie's name attached to it.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Motion for $75,000 in capital funding.
Yes.
For the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum. Open for discussion and debate. Seeing nobody in the queue, I will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does not carry. We'll move on. Our next up was the Bear Creek Folk Music Festival. Councillor Thiessen, I believe you'd like that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I would like to just amend the amount here. Just for this year, I would move that that council approve $50,000 in funding to the Bear Creek Folk Music Festival for the year 2017. And speaking to the motion, I think the festival itself, despite the fact that it was a first-year festival, was extremely well run, had lots of excellent volunteers, and put on a world-class showcase here in Grande Prairie that was a proven tourist draw. We brought in over 2,000 people to enjoy the event, and I believe that this type of event, if we go back to our tourism strategy planning a few years back, was one of the top three as a draw to the region. So in saying that, I'd like to put my tourism dollars to work, and I would encourage everyone to vote to support $50,000 operational funding to the Bear Creek Folk Festival for this year in 2017.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. First of all, a question for Councillor Thiessen on the motion. Is that just for the 1 year, for 2017?
Yes, it is. And keeping in mind that I'm not asking to pull the 2018 requested amount, but I'd like to see what more this festival can actually do with some additional funding. Now, it is a first-year festival, so I do have my own reservations for second year, just in light of what happened over the summer and their loss of revenue. But I do believe that that this event has the chance to bounce back really, really well and be a driver of people into our community. So I don't want to take off the 18 amount, but I also, at the same point, don't want to give the whole cart right now. And I'd like to see what they can do if given the chance in year 2.
So it's just 50,000 for 2017 is the motion.
Yes.
Yeah, so in speaking to that, I will be supporting the motion. I was able to attend with my family the festival, and I think the uptake from local citizens here was quite incredible. One of the biggest events held within the core of the city in the city's history, and so I think they did a fantastic job. There's obviously some things that need to be worked on, and being a first-year festival, I think that they've learned a lot, and I think that they could be a little bit more responsible with some of their dollars. But those are some of the growing pains, and given the tremendous success and the economic development and tourism dollars that came to the city because of it, I think it's worthy of some public funding, and I would support the lesser amount of $50,000.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. I see Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Question to Councillor Thiessen. Does this include the gift in kind portion of the free rent, etc., that they received last year? Would this be everything?
As in moving forward?
Yes. With this $50,000 motion, are you including gift in kind in that as well?
No, this is just a strictly cash infusion. I think our gift in kind that you're referring to with most events, street performers or any event that goes on, even East Coast garden parties or whatnot, our city gives plenty of gift in kind to all events to ensure that they're as successful as they possibly can be.
So speaking to that, then I won't support the motion, although I've said before, I think the event is great for our community. They did a great job this year, and I would hate to see it go away. I think there's other opportunities and other organizations that they can work with to make this event go ahead in the future. I think that we have our Arts Council and we have other opportunities for this organization, but I think $50,000 is just too much for one event in our community. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. I see others in the queue. I just will say that I'm in a bit of a challenge here. At the committee level, we've started a bit of an early stage discussion about major tourism events. I certainly see the Grande Prairie Folk Music or the Bear Creek Folk Music Festival as a major tourism event. I think that there may be others. There may be at least one other that would today probably fall into what is a likely category for that. I would be more in favor of putting a larger amount aside for us to consider major tourism events once we've established a criteria for that, rather than dedicating this amount specifically to one festival. So I believe we have some time. So I think, just watch me choose a different button. But I think I won't be supporting this motion. I would prefer to support a motion and may come at a later time based on our discussion around major tourism events. I would be willing to amend the budget early in the new year if there was if we had a definition of that and a program around that. But at this time, I won't be supporting something that's dedicated to one specific festival. Councillor Rice?
I guess one of the questions that I have certainly received is why, and this did not come, should point out, from an organizer of an event, why do we not charge rent in Muskogee Park when we do at South Bear Creek to put on events? And if we have had any discussion or appetite to change that, and if so, would it be reflected in their request? I don't know.
So Director Roth, at this time, do we charge rent for any events that happen in Muskogee Park, in the central portion of Muskogee Park rather than South Bear?
We do charge for some events that are at the pavilion or renting a specific location. There are very few events that actually happen in the exact space where Bear Creek Folk Festival occurred. We also, in future, will be charging for rent for the events at the South Bear Creek Park as well. That's part of the revenue structure that was designed for that park. Certainly, in future, we could monetize the space that Bear Creek Folk Festival uses. It was included as part of the gift in kind that the city had originally agreed to provide for that festival.
Thanks, Director Roth. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Yes, no, I will not be supporting the motion as well. That was a challenge for me to support it this past year, but I felt it was a way to keep things moving forward. But I'm for this year, given our budget challenges, I'm comfortable with applying through festival funding and sponsorship dollars. But I do agree with Mayor Given that depending upon the policy that's written, and then maybe we can take a look at it. And I would suggest that policy might, Councillor Rice, include the facility location costs too, right? That might be something that for major events that we look at being free for those major tourism events. Thank you.
Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I won't be supporting the Bear Creek Folk Festival at this point, but with your input earlier regarding festival funding, I feel that I would maybe support them, but I would need to see their game plan and the changes that they were proposed. But at this point in time, the answer is no from me.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'm not sure if this is to close, but it will be to close. I really appreciate the suggestion by the mayor. Actually, I wasn't showing my hands. I like to be unorthodox at times, but I was putting aside 50, and then I was going to make a follow-up motion for $75,000 strictly for the tourism events that were to go through. One of the reasons why we are even in this discussion right now about the tourism events is because of the impact of the Bear Creek Folk Music Festival and how well they did, and also the question is, are we supporting these festivals enough? I'm a big supporter of all festivals in our community, whether we're talking about the Stampede, whether we're talking about this, the Bear Creek Folk Music Festival, East Coast Garden Party Street Performers, and I think as we develop this policy, it would be good. It'd also be very prudent for us to have at least some money in here. So I'm encouraging everybody around council. Maybe you can change your vote like the mayor did earlier, but please support this 50 grand injection, and then I can make a follow-up motion. Either way, I'll make a follow-up motion in regards to funding of this, because we can have the policy in place, but if we don't have the funding in place, then nobody really wins through that. So,
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Clayton, did you have something additional?
In regards to Councillor Thiessen's comments, I think that this council supported this event because of the great work they did in a peculiar and unusual year. I think that if we were to support this $50,000 going forward, it lends to being a crutch for an organization and an event that hasn't had an opportunity to stand on its own yet. And I think that given this budget cycle, that if they need to adjust their event accordingly, then they should do so. Or, as I mentioned in the past, work with other service groups or organizations in the community to support them. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Council, just with respect to the mover of a motion, if you have something that you'd like to say, please try to get in. That'll be the last time that after the mover of the motion speaks, that I'll ask for any additional comments. Okay, so we'll move to the vote on Councillor Thiessen's motion to add $50,000 for the Bear Creek Folk Musical Festival in 2017. Please vote. That motion does not carry. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Thank you very much, Council, for your votes. I'm going to move that Council include $125,000 operational support to large-scale tourism draw festival events to be handed out upon the development of our policy and application form process. I think that's pretty much there. The reason behind the motion is to ensure that we have the appropriate funding for all events within the City of Grande Prairie and a thorough application process to which they can still apply. So this doesn't exclude anybody, but it actually includes everybody. So,
thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. So just for clarity, the motion $125,000 in 2017 to fund major tourism events. Open for discussion debate. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I wasn't going to say too much, but I won't be supporting this, and a number of reasons. We don't know what number it could be. We don't know if we will have council at the time. I'd like to have more discussion at committee level on this, and I'll speak to a little bit of saying I'm not so sure the Folk Festival was a complete success. When you double your budget to $1 million and you have some numbers for staging for $100,000, which might cost 25 or 30 otherwise, there's a lot of numbers that to me looked a lot different. So I think we're stepping ahead of here on this motion. Thank you. I won't be supporting it.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. Councillor Logan.
Thank you. I think that pretty well what I wanted to say was taken by Councillor McLean. I'm very pleased with this festival, and I'm sorry that the earlier motion didn't pass. But now that it has passed, we've got a clean board to start over the proper processes of whether we're going to and how we're going to support or deny this whole thing using our proper systems. And so I just don't think that we should proceed.
Thanks, Councillor Logan. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Given. I would agree with Councillor Logan. I don't want to support any number until we've seen the policy and look at the ramifications of that policy. Thank you.
Councillor Clayton?
Mayor Given, I also won't support the motion. I think that until the policy comes forward, but I also think that I think is important is that we have, arts development and we have sponsorship and we have other things that incorporate tourism opportunities. So I think that to put a fund, a pot of money for something that's not developed and not justified would not make sense. So I won't support the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. I'll just say that I will be supporting this motion. I appreciate the points made about the policy and development of policy. I think it's very important that we have a well-defined criteria for what would fit into that. If this motion doesn't carry, then upon development of the policy, then I would hope to reconsider that and see whether there's a budget implication at that time. But I'm confident that there are events in our community that have the impact that we're talking about that will need support, and I'm comfortable setting that aside at this point. But also understand that if it doesn't pass, that it can be reconsidered once the policy is developed. Councillor Rice.
Yeah, I guess I somewhat remained continually surprised. We appoint someone to our tourism board. We ask them to go there to represent our interests and to bring our interests forward. I have heard nothing from that representative that says we need this kind of money for upcoming tourism excitement or whatever it's called. And so I would hope if there was a need for it that would have been brought forward through that organization and through our reps. So I won't be supporting it.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. I just feel compelled to say that we did see the Grande Prairie Stampede make a presentation to committee of their own volition. They came forward to say that they had a challenging year, that they're moving into their 40th anniversary next year, and I got a pretty distinct sense that it's likely that we would see some requests coming from them. So I think we hear from the event organizers more directly, and it's up to tourism to validify their claims about the impact on tourism, but certainly we do hear from the organizations themselves. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I am the representative on the tourism board, and tourism have discussed many times the successes and failures of events going in the Peace Country. With that being said, I would like to know if there's a mandate for a completion date on this new policy, and when can we look at being finalized so we can maybe possibly add money prior to the budget being solidified.
Director Roth.
Your Worship, administration has been concentrating on the existing items that had budget impacts. We can look at bringing a report forward very early in 2017 so that can still be incorporated before the mill rate is set.
Okay. Thanks very much, Director Roth. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if everybody has their final say, but I'm just going to choose to close on this one.
Let's just ask then. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak before Councillor Thiessen closes? Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen.
All right, thank you very much. I think it would be a prudent move to have a funding pot. A lot of times funding is what is the backbone of anything getting off the ground and rolling. If we know that we have a guaranteed amount that is destined to be given out to multiple organizations, we're enriching the lives of every member of our community here. That funding pot will be there for events and organizations such as the Stampede on their 40th, East Coast Garden Party on their 10th, the street performers as they get up to their 20th, the Bear Creek Folk Music Festival, and new ones that we don't even know about. So as long as we have that money there, and it will, I think, make an impetus for us to finish off that policy and determine how and where and when we're going to dole out those funds. So I'm just hoping that council will support this, and thank you for listening.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. So we'll call for the vote on Councillor Thiessen's motion to add $125,000 to the 2017 operational budget for funding of major tourism events. Please vote. That motion does not carry. Councillor Clayton.
Going in order, I'd like to declare a conflict on the next item as my spouse is the chair of the board. So thank you. Thanks
very much. Councillor Clayton will declare conflict of interest with respect to the discussion on Evergreen Park. And our one that had raised this was Councillor Tarrant. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'm going to make a motion to approve funding of $25,000 in 2017. I think that Evergreen Park is definitely a regional facility, and I think there's no question that many city residents use the facility for events out there on quite a regular basis. However, with that said, I think that on balance, looking at what's funded in the city and county, I think there's I need to have an overall agreement and not just do these one-offs. And so I look forward to having that discussion. In the meantime, I know the Evergreen Park has faced some challenges, and I think that it's worthy of having some support. As I said in my motion, it's $25,000. I think it's a minimal amount compared to their ask, but it would be I think a level of support showing that the city recognizes the value of the facility out there.
Thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. So 25,000, I heard you say. Okay. Thank you. So a motion to provide $25,000 in Evergreen Park sponsorship request. So sponsorship funding to Evergreen Park in the amount of $25,000. Okay. Councillor, open for discussion debate. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Just a question for clarity to Councillor Tarrant. In regards to that $25,000, the original request was $200,000 over 5 years. Is this $25,000 just for year one, or is it carrying over the 5 years as requested? Okay, thank you.
The answer there was just for 2017. Councillor Radburn.
I think the ask was actually $200,000 a year for 5 years. Anyway, taking from Councillor Tarrant's intro, I'm not supportive of one-offs. I think we have to, as a region, decide how we as a region are going to support all of our facilities. And until we do that, then I think we should end the one-offs. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Councillor O'Toole.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Given. I'm in agreement here. I think this is something that we should have some different councils sitting at the table and discuss a partnership on funding. And I think at this time today, I don't think that we should be supporting this at this time. I think we need to get our regional partners together and discuss how we're going to support each other in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I will call for the vote. Please vote on adding $25,000 to the 2017 operational budget for Evergreen Park sponsorship. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does not carry. Call back Councillor Clayton. And our next was Grande Prairie Disc Golf Association. Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I would encourage council to support this. It's a low-cost option for a very inclusive recreation activity to develop a nice course around the South Bear Creek area. Understandably so, this started out as a grassroots organization, and now they've grown to the point where their membership is multiplying every year. It's a fun game, a fun sport, and like I said, a low-cost recreation option for people in our community. So for the $20,000 that it's worth to develop, I think it's money covered in gold right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I will be supporting this, and I strongly urge council to support this amount. Since disc golf was introduced several years ago, it has been hugely popular among residents. If you go to the top of Thrill Hill on any Saturday, there's just vehicles lined up. You have to actually, it's like you have to get a tee time, essentially. You have to wait in line to start there. And so the uptake on it's been great. The other big thing is the tourism dollars and economic development dollars that it can generate. They've already ran a few different tournaments. People all over the Peace Country, over the province, have come up here, and they've started out small, but even at small, they've had a couple hundred people enter the tournaments, and this is one of the fastest growing sports in Canada. And I think this is such a small investment for such a a big thing. If you look at investing $2 million into grandstands and what that's going to get for your payback, this 20,000 is it's going to have a much higher rate of return. One other point that they made during their presentation was that Calgary just last year approved a disc golf park that there is going to be built for $700,000, professionally designed. They said that we could have the same quality course here because our terrain lends itself to that. We already have natural, within the South Bear Creek river creek bed there, we have natural terrain that lends itself to a course, so we don't have to spend $500,000 developing a whole new course. And the intent of this new course would be more of a professional level, so that you could have those professional tournaments and possibly get on the disc. They have their PGA tours, the disc golf tour there, and there would be a high likelihood we'd be a good candidate for that.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, McGiven. I'm supporting this motion. At committee, the presentation was excellent. There are over 200 participants playing disc golf on a weekly basis. Their tournaments have been a great draw. And they can do this professional level course for about low 40,000s. So really the 20,000 provides a basic, not quite as basic as the one we have now, but basic in terms of skill level required. They can leverage that 20,000 for CPIP, or they can try to leverage it for grants, or they committed to seeking sponsorship as well. So I think this can happen with this investment. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Any other discussion or debate? I don't see anybody else in the queue. So I'll call for the vote of adding $20,000 in operational funding. Make sure I have that right. Operational funding for 2017 for the Grande Prairie Disc Golf Association. Please vote. That motion does carry. And that would take us to FCSS. Increased funding. There were a couple of different portions to this. And I think the first one, and Councillor Thiessen kept his own great notes, which he's loaned me to work from. But Councillor Thiessen, you had made a motion on some different points within I think, option 1. The first bullet you discussed.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Given. I guess I made it my own option 3, which was on the table from our director. The idea is that the municipal overcontribution to FCSS dollars here in the city of Grande Prairie surpasses most communities across the province. I do believe this is a responsible use of these dollars. We could add more for I guess the minimum wage standard, but it's, to a certain degree, these organizations in the province need to buck up. I think we just we roll it back into our over-contribution, less $10,000 for each year for a poverty reduction strategy to ensure that we're helping all the members of our community, I guess, meet their ends in a positive way.
Okay, so you need to clarify what your motion is in terms of dollars. I think for administration, would it be more helpful if it was a motion to include, maybe first to include the $10,000 in 2017 and 2018 for the poverty reduction strategy? Maybe we can deal with that first, Councillor Thiessen, sure. and then we can deal with the balance.
And then the remainder. Yeah, for sure. Let's do that.
Okay. So the motion that we'll discuss and debate is to allocate $10,000 in each of 2017 and 2018 for the poverty reduction strategy. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Open for discussion debate. Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, Mayor Gibb. Just a question for Director Roth. I apologize. Can you tell me more what this $10,000? Just give me a couple of highlights of what it's going to actually do in regards to poverty reduction.
Director Roth.
Your Worship, certainly we already started a poverty reduction strategy. This program will look at furthering that work. The first order of business is to look at the impacts of low-income transit and low-income recreation to further have baseline data and further calculate the impacts of those programs. And then there's also some other database type of applications that the money would be used for in determining, looking at the social impact of some other programs.
Thanks, Director
So
Roth.
if I could
Councillor
follow
Payne.
up on that, so there's no actual, it's not programming, it's not additional staff, it's truly just data collection.
Director Roth.
It is studies and data collection that help us support and know where we're at in terms of furthering our programs that we already have.
Councillor Rice.
I get quite concerned as we start sliding annually over to picking up responsibility for the province. And certainly the province has stated that one of their priorities is the end to poverty. I say that we need to step back and let the province assume their responsibility, because the faster we move in, the slower they will do that.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. I'll just say that I will be supporting the motion with respect to Councillor Rice's point about the city's level of contribution to FCSS. I see this particular one as a way for us to actually assess the effectiveness of some of the programs that we've supported. And I think that that's very important for me in determining my future support for those programs. So this is actually really about quantifying whether what we're doing is working and actually meeting the intent of with which we started the programs. With respect to our over contribution, I will be, if there are further motions that come with respect to reducing our over contribution, I will be supporting those. But this specific program or this specific initiative, I think is one that will help us get the data that will make us in a better position to make informed decisions. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'm also very interested in all the other funds being used to reduce our municipal contribution, but I will be supporting the 10,000. I think the other thing it will do for us, it'll determine if what is happening is being effective, and also help us advocate for what needs to happen with the province. I'm not interested in taking over housing from the province, but I think this is a good forum in which and a small amount of money to get the data so that we can advocate better for more monies from the province.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. I don't see anybody else in the queue. Anybody else wish to speak on this issue? Seeing none, then I will call for the vote. Please vote on the motion to add $10,000 in each of 2017 and 2018 for allocation to Poverty Reduction Initiative data collection. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does carry. There was an additional item before we get to the overall contribution. I had wanted to raise the funds that were returned. Administration let us know that there was one organization that identified that they had received additional funding from other sources and no longer required the FCSS support. I wonder if there's a council member that would be willing to make a motion that the $29,000 in 2017 and $30,000 in 2018 be reallocated to other FCSS agencies. My ask there would be that it would be unfortunate if we discouraged community organizations from seeking other funding by suggesting that if they give up funding back to the city, that it won't go to support other organizations in the community. If the government chooses to increase FCSS funding, I think that's reasonable for us to say that's good, and we will try to get back to our a better balance between municipal and provincial contributions. But if a funded community agency does the right thing and returns the money, I think it's a reasonable thing to say that will go back to other community agencies. I'm sure they didn't return it to us, so we could reduce our contribution. So if there's a council member that would make that motion, I'd appreciate it. Councillor Thiessen? Oh. Sure, Councillor Logan, thank you. Okay, so Councillor Logan, much appreciated, makes a motion to reallocate the $29,000 and $30,000 of returned FCSS funding to other FCSS funded organizations. Open for discussion debate. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'm going to speak in support of this motion. I think, as our discussion earlier detailed, that a lot of not-for-profit organizations are going to have to deal with the rise in costs of labor for having the right people to do the right jobs all around. And I think this gift back to the community is going to help them be able to deal with that without coming forward and asking for an increase in funds in later years. I think this spread out, even though it'll be small across organizations, I think it will go a long way towards helping them meet their employment costs.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Just to be clear, the intent of the motion, as I saw it, would be to other funded agencies, not to internal community social development programs or costs. Would be the agencies themselves. Councillor Logan? Okay. Councillor Tarrant?
I think, Mayor Given, just a question on the motion. How would those funds flow back to other funded agencies? Is that going to be on a percentage basis based on their share of FCSS dollars, or is it going to be a sort of a one chunk that a new organization could apply for?
Director Roth, do you have any, as the motion's framed right now, do you have any sense of how you might approach that?
Your Worship, administration would like to have some time to be able to develop a bit of a criteria. It's only $30,000. If it's done on a percentage basis, that would be very small amounts to each of the agencies. Just off the top of my head, one method may be for agencies that are having a way of showing need and trying to factor a formula or a method based around need. But we would have to come back with further criteria.
Okay. Thanks very much for that clarification, Dr. Roth. Councillor Tarrant?
So right now that money would just sort of be set aside, and then it would probably come back to committee with a recommendation for how to allocate it. Is that?
That's correct. Or we definitely need to have clear criteria as to how it'll be allocated and applied for.
Thanks, Director Roth. Councillor Rice?
Yes, one of the options I'm hoping that will be addressed is, people that apply, the pot becomes bigger. Like, not just giving it to those who already got money and enhancing what they got, but as they look at the requests, that they include that just as a total amount. Is that a correct assumption, I guess?
Well, I think I heard Director Roth say that administration would need some time and would bring forward a recommendation and alternatives to committee.
Okay.
Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Now we have the balance of the FCSS funding. Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, I would move that council approve the use of the balance of funds, the FCSS contributions, to reduce the municipal over-contribution towards FCS programs.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Open for discussion and debate. Does administration have a sense of what the amount is? I don't know if you've been doing any math. Director Roth. Somebody's doing some math in the room. Sorry, I know there's many people doing that, but Director Roth in particular.
Yes, I do, actually. The balance of funds would be $258,000 and change.
Okay, thanks very much, Director Roth. Open for discussion debate. Councillor Rice.
You all know that the not-for-profits have been struggling for the last few years, and I think that, and we know that last year we could not come close to funding the number of applicants, and I think that this is now an opportunity for us to do that, and so I'm asking you not to support this motion.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Radburn?
I will be supporting the motion. Councillor Rice made her point, which is good, but I do think this is an opportunity to reduce our over-contribution and give us some more flexibility to do other things in our budget. Thank you.
Councillor Radburn, any other discussion or debate? Seeing nobody in the queue, then I'll call for the vote. The vote is on a motion to reduce the municipal overcontribution, essentially claim back the increased FCSS funding to reduce the municipal overcontribution to the program. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does carry. So our next takes us to are we Nine of Diamonds? Councillor Rice, I have your name beside this. This is the Nine of Diamonds campground campsite upgrades in the amount of $100,000 in terms of capital. Councillor Rice, do you wish to make a motion? Or, please.
I would move that we include in the capital fund $100,000 for the Nine of Diamonds campsite upgrade. We made a commitment to improve South Bear Creek, and we did because each member of council saw the potential to make some money. Certainly we know that in the past this campsite has been very, very popular. We know that we all received numerous calls last year begging us to open that campground. So I believe that this would again be an investment, an economic development investment that we could in a short period of time, and I'm thinking 2 to 3 years maximum, get see that investment returned.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Rice makes a motion to add the $100,000 in capital funding in 2017 for the Nine of Diamonds campsite upgrades. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I guess kind of just a question for administration in regards to directing funds. I agree with Councillor Rice that we made a commitment to this, but there's part of me that also does not want to impact our increase in taxes. Is there a chance that we could use MSI or public reserve to offset any capital tax implications to our overall budget?
Mr. Anderson?
As far as MSI, we need a threshold of $1 million. If it does go ahead, I would propose the future expenditures reserve.
Okay. Now, I don't need to make that motion in order to go there or to go through that funding?
That is correct. If you debate the various referred items, we'll determine which is the appropriate funding source is.
All right, thanks, Ken.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion debate? I see Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Yeah, as I stated during our committee of the whole meeting relative to South Bear Creek, I will not be supporting this motion. The only support was going to be for the one that I will make a motion on about vandalism issues, because we're protecting an asset. We have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in South Bear Creek in the last 2 years. We're doing the pavilion as well right now. We did diamonds. So, and to the point made earlier, we would have had revenue from this campsite but for the decision of council. It wasn't not used because it needed upgrades. The upgrades could help, but that wasn't why we didn't get revenue this past season. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I feel that this would be. Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I was speed reading, okay? My brain is forward thinking here. That and lack of sleep last night. I feel that we should be supporting this. It's an asset. We've said over the years that we wanted this to be the jewel of the city. And last year when the budget went through, I don't think it was presented how important this park, this campground is to the park. And now that we've had the explanation a couple times, part of the issues was the breaker system wasn't great, the water system wasn't great, and it caused a lot of grief on the staffing, and that's why we did not open it, because we weren't prepared to have the staff to come down there at late hours. So with this, it will upgrade that, and we will be in a great shape, and it'll be able to have the power for larger units as well as water, and we'll be set for the tournaments, the revenue, the sports tourism, all the good things that we want down there. And I would really ask that council support this, please.
Thanks very much, Councillor Toole. I'll just enter to say that I won't be supporting the motion. I'm very, very proud of this council's support of South Bear Creek Park in this budget cycle. The commitment that we've made to improving the pavilion so it can be used for year-round access and year-round events will increase the capacity of the facility by being able to do things in winter months. Our significant investment in refurbishing the golf course, our investment in adding additional diamonds, smaller things like we just did earlier in terms of the disc golf will be an improvement and will increase access and use in South Bear Creek Park. I agree. I will also, when it comes up, the vandalism is an issue that I'm interested in addressing, but there's a limit to the amount of things that we can do in one budget cycle. And I agree that not approving this, the consequence of not approving this is that the Nine of Diamonds campsite may not operate as well as it could. It does not, in my view, mean that it will not operate. And so on that basis, that we can't have everything operating perfectly in one budget cycle, I won't be supporting the motion. Councillor Clayton.
Mayor Given, just quickly. In my opinion, this is a nice to have, not a necessity for this facility. The facility, as we understand, will be full regardless of this, and it's something we just don't need to spend at this time. So I will not be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. Any other discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion does not carry. And that will take us to South Bear Creek Park vandalism issues. Fencing, Councillor Radburn, I think I heard you speak about that one.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move that we approve $50,000 in the 2017 budget to address South Bear Creek Park vandalism issues. We've had a couple of reports to committee, and there's a concept that Parks is suggesting, but committee wasn't quite sure if that was the solution. But I do think we need a solution because our assets is being hurt, so to speak. So whether it's security, whether it's fencing, whatever it is, we need to move quickly to protect that asset. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll be supporting this as well. We have put in millions of dollars down there, and I believe the next council will be putting in some more money to bring it up to par and snuff. Also, our assets, wasn't all in favor of some of the staff way they were selling it. I was listening to other councillors and a way of different approaches, so I look forward to coming forward to how it's going to proceed.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. Any other discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote on the addition of $50,000 to address South Bear Creek Park vandalism issues. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. And that will bring us to Grande Prairie Curling Club design. I think that this was one that I had flagged, and so I'll have to ask if there's anybody that would wish to make a motion to include the $25,000 in capital funding to complete the design of the exterior renovations. Councillor Logan?
I'll make the motion that the $25,000 be allocated for that purpose.
Thanks very much, Councillor Logan. Just to speak to this, as administration identified, this is not construction. This is to get the design of the exterior renovations to the point where they would be quote-unquote shovel-ready and put us in a better position for any potential provincial or federal programs that we may be able to access. I believe that this is in alignment with our focus on the downtown. We're encouraging many downtown businesses to spend their own money in upgrading the facades of the buildings, and we're matching that. This is the City of Grande Prairie's building, and one of the largest things that you see when you come into our downtown heading east. So I think would be great if we could be in a position to access additional funds from other sources when and if they're available. And I would note that I'm not advocating for the construction at this time. So I'll leave it at that. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. That motion does not carry. We'll move on to the Canada's 150th anniversary celebrations, our sesquicentennial, which is easier to say for some reason today than 150th anniversary celebrations. Councillor Clayton.
I'm not looking to make the motion. I had a question in regards to something that Councillor Rice brought up earlier. With the money that's sitting in a trust fund from our 100th anniversary, is this something that we could fund with that dollars? I guess it's a question for Director Anderson.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes, council did designate it in trust for your decision, so if you wish to designate it for that purpose, you can.
Sure. So based on that, I'd be prepared to make a motion that we take $100,000 from the trust of the excess funds from the 100th anniversary of the City of Grande Prairie to use towards the Canada 150 anniversary celebrations.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. That motion, of course, is in order. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. A very good motion. Thank you, Councillor Clayton. I was wondering if there was that much money in there from the leftover, and I believe there is. And I thought it was a very good motion, so I'll be supporting.
Okay, thanks, Councillor McLean. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I would like to thank Councillor Clayton for bringing that up. I think I brought this one forward, and that was exactly the direction I was going to take. So, to mind readers everywhere, hallelujah.
Okay, thanks very much. And Councillor Rice.
Just to clarify, so if they take 100,000, there's still 45,000 left in that trust account, right?
Mr. Anderson.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just to note, I also appreciate the Councillor Rice's question earlier and Councillor Clayton's motion just now. I was not going to support a straight funding motion, but given this source then I will be supporting the motion.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing nobody ringing in, then I will call for the vote. Please vote on adding $100,000 to the operational budget for Canada's 150th anniversary celebrations, funded by the excess amount from the city's 100th anniversary celebrations. Councillor Rice.
Yeah, that's not really adding it.
Mr. Anderson, do you want to give us a finance ruling?
Mayor, even I suggest you just fund it from the trust that was created for the 100th anniversary.
Because it doesn't add any.
Well, it will be a new line item at minimum, right? So, but that's fine. That's fine. Whatever Mr. Anderson's ruling is on the right wording for that, so that the 150th anniversary celebrations be funded by the trust account excess from the city's 100th anniversary.
Okay.
Okay. Please vote. The motion does carry. Okay, I think we're down to CKC West Grandstand. I had asked to have this flagged. It's a significant item, and so rather than asking another council member to move it, and if somebody wishes to, that's fine. I'd also be happy to relinquish the chair, and somebody else could chair, and I'll actually make the motion.
I would take the chair.
Sure. Councillor Rice will take the chair. I don't know if we need to shift, Councillor Rice.
Okay. Hush.
Okay, so Councillor, so I appreciate council support in the past in making motions on smaller items. It's a more significant item, and so it's probably I'm willing to make it under my own name. Thanks, Councillor Rice. So I would move that Council approve funding the CKC Westfield Grandstand in the amount of $1,995,000, with the source being debenture borrowing. In speaking to that motion, I believe that this is one of those economic development items that we've talked about a number of times. I appreciate that every council member is doing their best to assess the economic impact of the items that we have. I believe that debenture borrowing is the appropriate source of funding for an item like this. It ensures that the asset is available to people today and paid for by the people that will use it over the next 20 years. That's a reasonable approach to long-lived capital assets. And it means that our community receives the benefit of the asset today, while all of those people who enjoy the benefit over the long period contribute to the cost of it. We also heard, council heard by email from the chair of the Alberta Summer Games that the information that we heard at committee that suggested that the CKC field would not be much of a focal point was incorrect. My understanding is at this point, the Alberta Summer Games organizing committee had planned on the CKC field being a primary highlight of the games, and they intended to use it for feature games so that Grande Prairie residents would have the ability to come in and have major spectator events at CKC Field. This is not just for the Alberta Summer Games, it is for our community, and I would acknowledge that it is in some sense for our region as well, but the primary beneficiaries of this will be Grande Prairie residents, Grande Prairie athletes, and Grande Prairie businesses who will benefit from the higher caliber of events that we can host here in our community. So I'd ask you to consider supporting it.
Now I'm at a loss because I can't see them. That's okay. People just put their hand up and turn their own mic on. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Helen Rice. I'm going to be supportive of this for the RP, but I could be opposed to it if it comes in higher or not a little bit less. We will have that opportunity when a referral for proposal goes out for tendering, because if it's higher, I will not be supporting it. I support it to put it out there to find out.
Okay, anything else? Councillor, turn your mic off, please. Make sure it's off, and then Councillor Thiessen.
I'm really torn on this one too. Part of my memory recollection is the last year when we had $1,015,000 set aside for the project, that the other $800,000 would be fundraised through sponsorship opportunities, and we tasked our people to try to raise that money through sponsorship. Have we achieved any sponsorship money at all in regards to the CKC grandstands?
Perhaps Mr. Roth.
Mayor Rice. The other $800,000 was actually supposed to come from a grant that was no longer available for the city. To date, no sponsorship money has been raised for that field. We do have a joint committee involving both the school boards, foundations that would are working on sponsorship. But as we know from other projects, sponsorship is best done after the building is developed, and then you have something to sell to the sponsor. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything further? Rory? Councillor Tarrant, sorry.
Somebody's been playing. Anyways, no, I'm going to be supportive of the motion, realizing that since it is a borrowing item, that there will be a borrowing bylaw that will come forward to council. We'll have an ability at that time to decide. There's going to be a couple of factors that will be, for me, that will aid in my decision at that time. One being the call out to regional municipalities, seeing if there's going to be regional support for it. And then looking at, seeing if there's any early indications of sponsorship. Also, since it is a prime, facility for the Summer Games, I would hope that there would maybe be some provincial support that could lend in, and I think that we might be able to leverage those games to get that provincial support. So I think there's a few different factors that would come in before I approve it. When it comes to the borrowing stage, but at this point, I'm okay with going forward with it and giving that initial level of support.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, Councillor O'Toole. Okay. In order that you not make a fool of yourself, please proceed.
So I'm in the same boat. I feel that this is a great need for this community and region. When we look at sports tourism, we look at the number of youth in the area and the amount of people that are actually enrolled in the football sport. This will be a huge asset. I wasn't all that in favor of going and raising our taxes to just build this, but over a period of time, I can see where it would be something that the community can absorb. Once again, I feel that this is a regional concern, and we should be talking to our partners in the community, as Councillor Tarrant has suggested. So with that, I will be supporting it at this time, and thank you.
Anyone further? Councillor Clayton.
Councillor O'Toole and Terrence's comments. It is a regional facility. It's a really big price tag to swallow. I can appreciate that. I specifically support it because of the funding source. And I think Director Anderson told us that, for $10 million, its taxes are 0.65%. This is a much smaller amount. And I think that with the regional cooperation, that this is absolutely going to be something that everybody will benefit from. And in turn, we have other opportunities for reducing taxes further in the discussion. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone further? Ask again. You've heard the mayor's motion. Please vote on your, whatever you call it, click. Okay, that motion does not carry. And I mean, that was kind of wishful thinking. That motion does carry. I will now turn it back to the mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice, and thank you, Council, for that. I'm not sure that I haven't done that before, but I appreciate Council being flexible about that. And so the the next was the Muskosipi Park maintenance garage, capital funding in the amount of $300,000. This was one that I had flagged as well. I don't know whether it's to that scale that I don't know whether any other council members had an interest in raising this, but I see it as a prerequisite to the community social development building renovation. Certainly not comfortable with supporting that full renovation at this time, but I think that this is one of those things that would allow us to get to it at a future time. So if there's a council member that wishes to make that motion, if there's not, then we will. Councillor O'Toole.
Yes, Mayor Given, I make a motion to proceed with maintenance garage of a cost of $300,000 in the designated area, which would be south of the Muskosipi Park on property we have.
Sure. I think for administration's purposes, it's just about the funding, and they'll identify the appropriate location. Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Just to reiterate, this would also not only have the benefit of reducing some of the health and safety factors that are a complication at the current community social development building by getting the parks maintenance shop out of there. It will also free up space in our pavilion building and reduce safety factors for the public with our parks maintenance, Muskosipi maintenance garage being located in the pavilion building, and potentially provide additional programming space in that pavilion building that we can use for public programming. So I'd encourage council to support the motion. Councillor Thiessen?
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'm supportive of the motion, but my question is to administration, and it's revolving around the mayor's last point for programming space. If we move everything out of the garage, that $300,000 is part of that move, but we would still have to inject money to renovate the garage into usable space at the pavilion. Am I correct, or am I mistaken?
Director Roth?
Your Worship, there certainly would be a little bit of money required to finish off the inside of the space. We do have some of the available funds through our facility renewal fund where we would be able to draw from.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion or debate? Seeing nobody in the queue, then Councillor O'Toole.
Thanks very much, Mayor Given. I just want to really reiterate the fact that this has been up in the concerns over the last few years that Muskogee Park Pavilion has had a lack of space, and the equipment that we get is needs to run, do maintenance on at that facility, and it's not necessarily the best to have that maintenance shop where it is now when parks are being used by civilians, citizens in the area. There's created hazards there, so I would really encourage my council to consider this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. So that will close. We'll call for the vote on the motion to add $300,000 for Parks Muskogee Park Maintenance Garage. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does not carry. So that will move us on to Councillor Clayton. I think you had flagged the item of annual flower bed program expansion.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Although this seems like a really light and fluffy topic in comparison to the things we just finished discussing, I would encourage Council to support this, and I'll make a motion in a minute. But the importance of this to me is that as we continually talk about our community and tourism and what a great community it is, there's times when you come into our community that it's not as nice as it could be. And sure, we have long winters and our roads get beat up and our curbing gets beat up. And I think that in our short summer season, with our long hours, people are tending to stay home more often and bring their friends to Grande Prairie for the summer, because traditionally people don't come here for a holiday or a visit in the winter. And I think there's some small touches that we could do with such a program as a flower bed expansion, and as Director Roth had indicated, we can have input into this, where they can go, and for a small amount, with addition to the welcome signs, this could really make a large impact. So I would like to make a motion to fund the annual flower bed program expansion for $60,000 in operation funding. Thank you. Or sorry, I guess it's capital, right? Oh, operations. My apologies. Yep.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Radburn. Or, sorry, Tarrant. I was going by the first letter. Councillor Tarrant. Yeah. Striking similarity. Striking similarity. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Given. As many councillors may be aware, I was the one that brought this up at committee, and I think that it would be a wonderful addition to the community. Certainly going to places like Edmonton this past summer, I saw there was quite a significant more annual flower beds and flower pots and whatnot around the city, and I thought that's something that we could do a little bit better. However, given the budget constraints right now, I'm not going to be supporting it at this point. But I will be pushing that it be built into when we develop the next 4-year operating budget. I think this is something that I will certainly be advocating for, and then the lead up to those budget requests, and that be something that we looked at. And something that Councillor Clayton mentioned earlier, there is money set aside for an entrance feature, and I think that's going to go a long way in helping build the that beautification of the city as well.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Tarrant. The other Councillor Tarrant? Councillor Radburn.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is a nice to have, not to need. So at this point, I really appreciate Councillor Tarrant's looking at moving a program of such into the next 4-year cycle. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Any other discussion or debate? I don't see anybody else in the queue, so I will call for the vote. Please vote. motion does not carry. And I think we're into community safety now. The first item there was the bridge inspection program. Councillor Thiessen, I think that might have been one that you had flagged.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I would move that council approve the additional $55 to go to the bridge. Sorry? Oh, did I? Oh, yeah, 55,000. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah. So just to clarify, so the community safety items were ones in which there's existing funding. So council should be moving to approve the transfer of funding to the support of the specific program.
Very good. Then I would make that motion that council support the transfer of funds of $55,000 to the bridge inspection program.
Great. Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Open for discussion and debate. Seeing nobody in the queue, then I will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Our next up was the traffic signals at 105th and 116th Avenue. Councillor Radburn, was that yours?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I'd move that since funding is already allocated for traffic signals, that $500,000 that's in the pot be used for traffic signals at 105th Street and 116th Avenue. I think the funding was there. It was a matter of confirming that council supported where the signal should go. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. We'll just say I support the motion. I also appreciate administration identifying the link between this project and improvements at the 102nd Street. That's one that I hear lots from the community about, and the ability to move forward with improvements at both locations is a primary safety concern for a lot of people in our community. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. That motion carries. Next up was the 116th Street overlay and bridge culvert. And Councillor McLean, I think you had raised this one for us.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that we transfer the funds to the 116th Street overlay project of $955,000 to move the big gravel trucks and everything and get the heck out of our city and go down the right way. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Open for discussion and debate. Any discussion and debate on the motion? $955,000. Okay, I don't see anybody ringing in, so I will call for the vote. Please vote. Looking for a couple extra, council. Just make sure your vote registered there. And one more. Have a look at your screen. Make sure it shows a vote. Let's just we'll cancel that and we'll restart. Okay, so please vote on that motion. Okay, there we go. Now I've got 9. That motion carries. The next was the RCMP call center. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Gibbon. I would move that council approve the transfer of funds of $50,000 to the RCMP call center.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. So the motion is open for discussion and debate. I'll just say here, and I believe I may have raised it at the committee level, I have an item that I want to watch out for as we do this transition. I believe we have an excellent call center at our 911 dispatch, provides fire dispatch for all of Northwest Alberta. I want to be very cautious about how this is actually implemented in that we don't end up with a system of dual dispatch centers. I think that it's not ideal in terms of customer service. If I'm understanding the process that was outlined correctly, they would call, they would first be received by our 911 dispatch, which would identify that it was an RCMP call, and they'd be transferred to Edmonton, and Edmonton would prioritize the call and they'd be transferred back to Grande Prairie. I think we need to improve that system, and so I just want to ensure, I just want all of council to ensure that we continue to pay attention to this, so that after we bring the calls home to Grande Prairie, which this is great, that we ensure that we look for efficiencies and find ways to bring all of our 911 and emergency call answering under one roof, rather than operating some in the RCMP center, building and some in the fire department. So, but I will support the motion because this is bringing emergency calls back to local knowledge, which is a good thing. Councillor Rice?
And again, I have that very concern is that we know the nightmare that in my opinion has been when we're transferring emergency calls to Edmonton and they don't even know if they're from Grande Prairie or Valley View or so I have serious concerns about expanding in this direction.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. I think our next item was the RCMP video system upgrade. Councillor Radburn, I think that has said it.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move that Council support the transfer of funds as outlined by administration to support the RCMP video system upgrade of $100,000.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Open for discussion and debate. I don't see anybody in the queue. Then I will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. The next was the Safe Growth Matching Grant Program. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Now, just to recognize that this is not a transfer of funds. This is new funding for Safe Growth Matching Grants. And I would move that Council approve the amount of $25,000 to the Crime Prevention Safe Growth Matching Grants Program. Just speaking to this, this is a very popular program within the city that administration did some mighty fine finagling to ensure that we still kept our CIA program and other programs in and around crime prevention. It is the desire and the will of the committee at the time and to try to ensure that we still had some funds to keep safety up and give business owners a chance to have grants in order to protect their business, their clientele, and their area. So I would fully support council to support this.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Open for discussion and debate. Just say that I'll be supporting the motion. This isn't an addition, as Councillor Thiessen highlighted, but administration absolutely did go through and prioritize, and that led to some elimination of some temporary positions that we had in place. So administration did prioritize. This is now council saying that if we approve this, I will be approving on the basis that it's a priority for me to support our businesses and our not-for-profits in maintaining safety around their locations. And particularly in the case of businesses, I think that this is a way for the City of Grande Prairie to support our demonstrate the benefit of municipal taxes to businesses by helping partner with them to upgrade the safety in their businesses. And again, it also applies to not-for-profits. I don't see anybody else in the queue for discussion and debate. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. I think, okay, a couple of delegation items that were flagged. First, there's the Grande Prairie and District Victim Services Unit. They had a request of an additional $20,000 in funding.
I'll throw that one.
Councillor McLean?
Yeah, I'll move that the Grande Prairie and District Victims Units be granted the $20,000 for 2017 and 2018 operational years. I'm going to throw an anchor out there, but Ken would probably say we'll decide or where to go to come out of the RCMP reserve for those 2 years.
Okay. So that's contrary to the policy of the RCMP reserve. So how free are we to make a motion that's contrary to a council policy, Mr. Anderson?
Sorry. What should happen is you should change the policy before you allocate it for some other purposes than what's designated in the policy. But it is your policy. You can violate it if you wish.
Councillor McLean, do you want to violate that policy? Put it that way.
I'll change my motion. Just skip out of the out of our CMP reserve and just for us to fund it for 2017 and 18.
Okay, so this is a motion for 2 years.
20,000 each year to top them up to the 65.
Okay, so that motion is clear, and thanks for seeking the additional clarification. Councillor Rice.
I would feel more comfortable adding increases more slowly. So should Councillor McLean's motion not be successful, I'm prepared to make one that we give them an additional 5,000.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice.
Mr. Closing or no?
No, we'll get around to closing. I see Councillor Terrence in the queue. I'll just say that I won't be supporting the motion. As I was doing a bit of the math while they were doing their presentation, based on the information that they handed out, City of Grande Prairie calls or files approximately are 45 to 50% of their volume. And the current City of Grande Prairie funding of $45,000 makes up about 64% of their municipal funding. With this increased amount of $20,000, the City of Grande Prairie funding would move up to 92% of their municipal funding, while we're only generating 45 to 50% of the call volume. They do fantastic work, but I think this is a service that all of those that benefit from should contribute to on a more equitable basis. I would encourage everybody to do their own numbers and calculations rather than necessarily relying on mine, but as they were presenting, I believe that's how it worked out for me, and that's why I'll be voting in opposition to the motion. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. In addition to your comments, I will be speaking against the motion. And in addition to your comments, also note, and I think Councillor Rice had pointed out that there was a in-kind service in terms of the donation. So those numbers that you mentioned would be even more inflated with the amount that the city provides. But in addition to that, I think that when you look at all our community group funding, we council made the decision to hold the line on the total amount, and that meant I think very few organizations got increases, and the ones that did are very, very minimal. And this would be quite a substantial increase percentage-wise. So for that reason, I will not be voting in favor.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Actually, I did do my own math, and I came to exactly the same numbers as you did. And I'm very supportive of Victim Services Association. I'm also very aware of the issues that I don't want to say plague is the wrong word, but I mean, there are a lot more issues out in the rural region. And I know this simply by looking at the stats at the conference that I was at just this past week, building capacity. The rural stats are really high for the amounts of I guess, persons needing victim services. And it's a vital, to me, Victim Services is a vital organization, a vital service in this community, especially given our crime stats and stuff. So just in heart, but I guess not in the costs and what the knowledge that I know, I will support it. But I can understand where Councillor Tarrant and the Mayor are going with this, so I will support it.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you much. I'm not going to support this. I do actually support Victim Services in my private life. I think that this is a great program they have. But once again, this is an issue that we need to take to our regional partners and put it on the table and say, hey, buck up, we're supplying people and buildings and you're not paying your share. So that's where I'm at with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. Councillor Rice.
Either my math skills are rusty or I'm doing a different calculation. What I got in my calculation was if you look at it, a cost per client or what we pay per client, I do see my calculations show we're somewhat light compared to the county and the MD of Greenview.
The advocates away.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. Fair. And certainly there are a variety of different ways to look at this. Any other discussion or debate? Councillor McLean to close. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. As we know, you can change your decisions before you push the button. as #1 crime area in Canada, we were rated. We always worry about the good old drunks and the druggies and the homeless people, and we're really passionate about them, give them lots of money in all different areas. But if you're the victim of crime and someone breaks in your house and breaks your leg or wrecks your property and you need counseling, it's all right. But I believe we should be supporting them, and more, even if it's more than the others, because they're the ones that are the victims of the crime, and they're the innocent ones. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. With that, we will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. Thank you. Is there somebody that would like to re-vote? Yes. Okay. I'll call for the vote. Just a second. Just a second. Don't enter your vote yet. Not that it. Okay. That's. Well, we just have to. Okay. Can we see what's up on our screen there? Okay. So we'll start the vote. Sorry, please enter your vote. Thank you. We'll display the results. That motion does not carry. Okay. 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 Yeah, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to get this vote out of the way so that everybody's vote is recorded the way that they wish it to be recorded. That's important. We'll deal with the Center for Creative Arts, and then we will take a brief break because I think we're kind of at that point. Okay? Okay. So please vote on the motion to add $20,000 in each of 2017 and 2018 for the Grande Prairie District Victim Services Unit. Please vote. Okay. We all good? Okay, thank you. That motion does not carry. Okay. Councillor Rice.
I would move that we increase the victims assistant budget by $5,000 a year for the next 2 years.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Is there a need for discussion and debate on the motion?
God, I hope not.
Okay. Then I will call for the vote on Councillor Rice's motion to add $5,000 for each of the next 2 years, Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Please vote. I think I'm looking for one more. Thank you. And that motion does carry.
All right.
Okay, and now let's finish up the Center for Creative Arts. The item that was flagged was Councillor McLean had flagged the pottery room floor. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move that we support this motion, for the motion for 2017 for the Center of Creative Arts for the pottery floor for $4,253. Just speaking to it, the delegation came forward, spoke to some health issues, and I think it's a very good step forward, and the other stuff will be in 2018. So I'd like to see it come out of the facility renewal, and I'll leave it as that.
Okay, so Councillor McLean, your motion is to fund the project. Okay, okay. So open for discussion and debate. I won't be supporting the motion, recognizing that it is funded. So unless I'm mistaken, it is funded in 2018. So I think there are economies of scale to be able to do both floors at once. And so I just, this is already funded. It's about advancing 1 year. And I think, given the context of the budget, we could do the entire project the following year, and I'm okay with that. Councillor Rice?
So that means if Councillor McLean's motion passes, then we pull that money out of the 2018 budget, thereby reducing our projection there. Is that not correct?
Director Roth?
That is my understanding, is that 2018 amount could be reduced by $4,000.
Okay. Any other discussion or debate necessary? If not, Councillor Thiessen, and then we'll go to Councillor McLean to close after.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Personally, before my colleague sharked it and said we're only doing half the project. I was in full support of bumping it up a year, but I am in support of this motion largely because of the exposure to all the pottery clay dust downstairs. So I think one less year of that type of exposure and the ability to clean it up, I think will go a long way to the health and livelihood of all of our pottery artists in the community for years to come.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor McLean?
To close it up quickly there, thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I'm not really a pottery type of individual. I did remember a movie that I really, I liked that movie a lot, was Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. So I hope you support this because I think it's a good thing for our community.
Okay, so with that, we will close. Discussion debate on that motion is closed, thankfully. And we will call for the vote on bringing forward $4,253 from 2018 to 2017 funding for the Center for Creative Arts Capital. Please vote. Thank you. That motion does not carry, so it remains in the budget in 2018. And at this point, we are going to take a 10-minute break. I think it feels a bit like council, and everybody probably needs to stand up and stretch. And we'll be back at 10 after 3. Okay. Sure. Well, we'll call it back, and we have a number of flagged items from operational budgets and capital budgets. A number of them were flagged by Councillor Thiessen, so we'll turn it over to the Councillor Thiessen meeting in a second. But there are a couple others first, and I would just like to flag something at the end, depending on where all these other items fall out. The 2016 surplus. I'd like to flag the 2016 operational surplus for discussion. We'll start off with the seniors tax rebate, and Councillor Rice, I think you'd identified that one. You'll just turn on your microphone.
This program I don't find is or has the impact we would hope it would. So I would be prepared to move that we remove that money from the budget, and I don't know, there has been a suggestion in the past, Councillor Trent has mentioned in the past, he's put this forward, that we give that money to seniors outreach. Therefore, it would do programs that would benefit seniors, and I think it would do much more for them.
So, Councillor Rice, can you be specific? Are you moving to discontinue the program and transfer the funds? Or are you just moving to discontinue the program?
I'll just move to we discontinue the program because I feel what we do with that money, we should go through a committee and a normal process.
Okay. So Councillor Rice is making a motion to discontinue this seniors tax rebate program. I guess we should know what the amount is on that.
The amount in the budget is $50,000. For 2016, we actually expended $37,000. It's based on the number of people who qualify.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Anderson. Are there open for discussion, debate, or questions? So we're kind of getting into an area of new stuff, and there may be additional questions for administration. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I will be supporting this motion, and should this motion be successful, I would make a subsequent motion to allocate $50,000 to seniors programming, which could be decided upon how that would, at committee level, how that could be best allocated. In speaking to the motion, though, I feel, and I've made this case many times in the past, that the $100 that's given to low-income seniors off the property taxes, first of all, I don't think it's equitable in that there's lots of low-income families, of many different demographics that don't receive the same benefit, and also that it's really a minimal amount, and it's not having a huge impact. Whereas I think if you had that $50,000 given to someone like Seniors Outreach or someone else that works with seniors, it could have a much bigger demonstrable impact in the community.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Any other discussion or debate? Councillor Logan, just if you'll get your microphone.
Well, I just have to say that I can't believe that this young punk is making such a comment as this. However, I agree 100% with him. And interestingly enough, in conversation with friends and associates that have reached the frightening ages that I've and my wife have reached, it is a bit of a joke almost. And there's much better uses for those funds. And you've suggested one or two of them, and very good, I support you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Logan. I'll just say that I can't support the removal of this program at this time. I would need to have a report from administration on the impact of the program on those people that have received it. My understanding is that it's not a blanket program for anybody over a certain age. I believe it is income tested, and it's for specifically for seniors who are receiving other subsidies from the province. That's how you qualify to receive it. And so we're not talking about just anybody that wouldn't notice $100. I hear from a lot of residents with regard to the city's property taxes when we're talking about, well, it's only going to be a $78 a year increase. I hear a lot of people say, well, that's too large an increase. And this program is specifically targeted at low-income seniors, and it would be a substantial increase in their sort of property tax burden. So before I appreciate the principle, before I could support it, I would need to see a committee a report on the impact of it, and so I won't support the motion to remove it today, but I would be interested in exploring better ways to support seniors by doing a bit of work with administration on that. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I will call for the vote on Councillor Rice's motion to remove the seniors property tax rebate program funding. Please vote. Okay, we will cancel that vote. We will re-vote. Please cast your vote on the removal of that program. I'm looking for one more. Thank you. That motion does not carry. Our next item was the low-income recreation access, and Councillor Rice, I think that had your name beside it as well.
It's more of a question. That's an awfully big increase.
Sorry, Councillor Rice, I think we might have had a follow-up motion with respect to the last program. Councillor Tarrant.
I would just move a referral to committee on the seniors property tax rebate program. I guess, direct administration to present a report on the effectiveness of the program.
That's a great place to start the dialogue, Councillor Tarrant. Sure. So a referral motion. We don't. A motion of referral. I don't think we need to do that. Any council member can do that by email. So I don't think we need a vote. So that item would be referred. Councillor Rice. I feel your microphone's off now.
Just a question. That's an awfully big increase from, I think it's 50,000 to 90,000. I just wanted some sort of justification, or could this be reduced from 90,000 to say 60,000?
Director Roth.
Thank you, Your Worship. In August of this year, a report came to Community Living that specifically talked about the low-income recreation access. Budget of last budget cycles, when the increases happened from 50,000, it is currently for 2016 sitting at 137,000. We've had over 200,000 people apply, or $200,000 worth of credits applied for. Committee last August had made some changes to the program to hopefully curtail or slow down the amount of credits being applied for, but it's actually in a situation we are actually issuing more credits than we have budget for at this point in time. So it would be my recommendation not to change it.
Is our criteria too generous? In other words, if we move the criteria up a couple of percentage or points or whatever, would that eliminate our problem without the increase?
Mr. Roth?
So the change that committee made in August was that the credits, that once people are qualified, their credits would expire within a year. So the actual income cutoff criteria was not changed. This is based upon the low income cutoff threshold plus 30%. As committee heard, is that the low income cutoff threshold, LICO, hasn't been revised by the province for many years, and so there is a inflationary factor that has to be factored into that. And it comes down to the size of the family and a number of other factors as to how much the funding that the family would, if the family would qualify or not. Certainly we could look at that and we would have to bring back a report at another time.
Councillor Rice?
Okay, that's fine.
So just information, satisfied that one? Okay. We'll move on to Councillor Rice. I think you'd also highlighted the skate park.
Yeah, is that something that we could defer? Like, at what point of construction is it at? Is that something we could put off for a couple years?
Director Roth?
Construction has not started because it was in the planning stages, primarily because we were also waiting to see the outcomes of the Recreation Master Plan. And so now that the Recreation Master Plan is completed, administration was planning on moving forward with it, but construction has not started yet.
Councillor Rice?
So we could defer it. In other words, if we were to, it's 400 and something, just a minute here. 35. Okay, that's over 3 years. So if we were to defer the starting, so we would take 125 or something like that, a little bit more than that, and move that to year 4 or something.
Dr. Roth?
1890 to 2020.
Dr. Roth?
Certainly, if we were to push it back, it would certainly delay the overall project. We'd have to look at the timing of the skateboard parks construction. One of the challenges is that we do know that there is a growing skateboard community in Grande Prairie, and that's what the reports had indicated. Pushing it back out to 2020 would create some challenges in terms of the actual construction.
But it wouldn't be pushing it back to 2020. It would be 18, 19, 20.
18, 19, 20. Council you can do whatever you wish to do.
Fine. All right.
Councilor Rice, do you have any?
No, that's good.
The next item, did we have? So I'm going by the list that they were raised. I appreciate administration has got them on our. Should we go? Let's go with what's on our sheets. That may jump us around a bit more. But so legislative services operational. Councilor Thiessen, I think this is one of your items.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I think I may have figured this one out myself, but look to Ken. For the increases in costs for 2017 and 2018, 2017, that would have to deal with the election, and 2018 with the new census.
Mr. Anderson?
No, actually what we do is we budget every year for those two projects because we know they're recurring. The cost for legislative services are a combination, and they include common services. Common services includes insurance and legal as well. So we've anticipated a legal cost increase. So that's the main factor going forward in 17.
Okay, so just actually that just raises another question in regards to the legal. Do we expect that we're going to have to sign more contracts or deal with more, I guess, suing?
Mr. Anderson?
Well, we don't plan for litigation.
Yeah.
However, it does occur, and based on patterns, we know how much we use. We know when collective agreements come up and expire, and we know that legal costs continually increase as well. So it's just based on historical patterns, and it is a budget.
Okay, so now the extra budgeted money, would it be safe to assume then that a lot of the legal costs would go to developing the intermunicipal frameworks and freshening up our intermunicipal development plan over the next few years?
Yes, that would be a significant cost, and council would need to relook at the allocation to ensure that they have sufficient funds for those two large projects.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're good on that side.
Okay. The next one that I have on the list, the printed list that council has handed out, is the information technology. Councillor Thiessen?
So $400,000 over 2 years of an increase on the ITS under corporate services. I was just wondering why such a big jump when between 2015 and 16 we maintained levels. Actually, we dropped it marginally, but why such a big jump?
Mr. Anderson?
Well, the main increase has to do with licensing fees for software. In the fire computer-assisted dispatch, for example, is going up $75,000. We are looking at the class replacement and going to a cloud solution there. So between those two, we anticipated approximately $175,000. There are some increased communications costs as well with TELUS. And looking into 2018, we have other software like the Adobe, the Dell Storage Area Network. So these are ongoing licensing costs and communication costs that always increase.
Okay, and so this isn't covered underneath our capital budget. We work it into the operational budget, is what I'm understanding?
Yes, the capital budget is for the acquisition of software. The licensing fees is an operational cost for the perpetuation and upgrades that go on.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're good there too. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. So the next one that we have on our printed list is the Leisure Centre, Operational, Recreation and Parks. I think you may have raised this.
Actually, I raised two of them because there was one under facilities and one under operational and parks. So I guess we could deal with what's on the list right now with operational and parks. I appreciate that administration took $1 million off of each the next 2 years. I was excited because I thought I found like a loophole to reduce taxes, but I was mistaken when I got your slides. But it does jump $70,000 each year for the Leisure Centre from 2017 to end 2018. I guess a total of $100,000 between 2016 to 2018. Is there an explanation as to why that those numbers are jumping so high for a building that is only in half use right now?
Is this Director Roth?
So the budget was built upon the full building being operated, and then we rolled back a number of the items that relate to the aquatics portion. We could do further analysis to make sure that we have all the items rolled back, but the building is still operational for half the building. Plus, we still heat and power the entire building, even though there's less cost to do that. We still need to heat and have utility expenses as a result of the piece that is closed. We would have to do a further analysis if you wish. We could provide you with more detail.
Okay, I think I might actually bundle that with the facilities one to a motion at least. But in the regards to the facilities one, the costs jump substantially between 2016 to 2017. We had 86,000 in 2016, and then 140 almost in 2017. Then it jumps up to 194 in 2018. In regards to the facilities costs, how can we justify those increases?
Is this Mr. Roth or Mr. Anderson?
I can take a start at that, and maybe Mr. Anderson can help me out, because the facility costs actually fall under the facilities department. Those are based upon renewal projections as to the amount of dollars that are needed to keep the building, keep it up. We're certainly trying to do, there's a number of projects that are planned to keep up the half of the building that's there. And we'd have to go through and look at those individual projects to provide further detail. It just wasn't time over the last couple hours to pull that out for you.
Fair enough.
We could certainly provide that if you wish.
Okay, Mr. Anderson.
Sure. The building itself, of course, ages every year, and we need to maintain the integrity of the building as a whole. I know administration is currently looking at refunctioning the pool portion of that. So administration and council need to move forward on that piece of it. What are we going to actually do with it? In the meantime, we have a building that just gets older that needs to be maintained until council makes some decision on it.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess the only motion I'm going to try to pull out of here is to direct administration to bring an analysis of the staff levels and the facility costs of the Leisure Centre to the appropriate standing committee.
Is it, Councillor Thiessen, is it maybe you specifically identify the staff costs? Would it maybe be the operational costs of the Leisure Centre facility?
That would work, I guess, when we bundle it all together. It is operational, yeah.
Is that would include the ongoing facilities maintenance that's required to happen, the staffing, which would be particularly around programming, and then the operations, utilities, and whatever else.
Yeah, for sure. I'd just like to get more understanding. I'm hoping council agrees.
Well, that's as we did with the previous referral motion. So that's a motion of referral to committee, and so I think we can do that without council motion. So that motion will be referred.
Perfect.
Okay. The next was a question around the increase in parklands with respect to annexation. I think this had to do with respect to the parks budget and the increases in parks budget, and a request for information around how much that is related to annexation. Councillor Thiessen?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Now, obviously, we had a big jump in recreation and parks in that regard. And there are associated costs with our annexation. I know we have a separate budget line for annexation, but maybe it's just a trivia question, but I want to know how much extra parkland we picked up to maintain when they're talking about turf and repair, and we have those lines throughout our budget. But I guess in order to justify the costs associated to parks, how significant is the annexation to those increasing costs?
Director Roth?
So annexation will cost us about $260,000 a year just to service the annexation area. Out of that, we did not actually gain any park space. However, we do mow roadside ditches, which falls under the turf area. We also have weed inspectors and IPM, integrated pest management inspectors and operators that need to provide their services in that area. So that also includes not only those wages, but for example, spraying chemicals and so on that's needed. In fact, there's probably a higher proportion amount needed in the rural service area because of the agricultural aspect of it. As well as we always allocate an amount for sanitation. So that's actually garbage picking, garbage collection, especially along Highway 43 on the west side of the city. And some other areas where we need to mow where garbage accumulates. So those are really the primary programs that it gets factored into that annexation budget.
Okay. And that's just strictly in the annexation budget?
That's strictly in the annexation area. Those are the main pieces that are in the annexation area. I'm not sure if you have further questions. You were looking at the increases in the parks operations overall?
Yeah, because when I received the slides from Mr. Anderson, my understanding was that we had a separate annexation budget, and that I know I'm right on. But then we also had significant increases across the board. And I wondered if those were factored in with our annexation costs or if they are just straight up increases across the board.
Most of these are just increases across the board. Again, there are other costs besides just wages. Wages are a factor, but there are other cost of goods and services that the city needs to operate that keep going up all the time.
Okay, thank you very much. Yep.
Next up was recreation sport development.
Yeah, and just a simple question: $80,000 bump next year in operational cost to rec and sport. What does that reflect since it goes back down in 2018?
So over the lunch hour, I was able to notice that in 2016 and 2017, the rec and sport budget went up significantly and goes back down. For those 2 years, we have $100,000 per each year that was allocated to the 55-plus senior games. Administration's plan is to reallocate that to the Alberta Summer Games because we know that there's going to be a need for a contribution for funding for that. So we have that funding available should we need it.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Okay. The next on the list is the beach at Bear Creek Park.
Yes, this is one. I mean, it's not a significant ask, but are we using the beach at the Bear Creek Park? It was my understanding that that whole area was closed, so there's about $30,000 to $40,000 attached to it year over year, and I was just wondering, what are we using that money for?
You're very right. This actually refers to what's more commonly known as the Bear Creek Outdoor Pool. Bear Creek Outdoor Pool is closed. However, there are some expenses that still get charged back to that. It does report a small surplus because of the fact that we're only charging small expenses. So things like electricity and water and gas, there's still some expenses there. There's still a security system in place there and so on. There's still some basic operational cost to it, although they are fairly minimal. And just to probably maybe move ahead one item here, or a couple items. You had asked also a question about what is happening in terms of the Bear Creek Outdoor Pool operational budget. And staff are just working on that right now as the consultant's design is progressing along. We have a better indication of what our operating costs are going to be. And the plan is to bring that back probably a year from now. It will come through a committee, likely be a referral to the 2018 budget deliberations.
Okay.
Should an adjustment be needed.
All right, thanks for both of those answers.
Next on the list was Eastlink Center. Some items there, Councillor Thiessen.
For sure. Eastlink Center, I red flagged this one only because of the growing costs, and then I guess either the addition or conversion of staff to the list. One thing I know for sure is that my first year on council, we had the big hiccup at the Eastlink Center, and I wouldn't want to see that ever happen again to a brand new council. So my concerns are just in regards to the budgeting of it. We have an operational drop of about $100,000 for 2017 and maintains the same level of 2018. But is that enough money to go through? I know that our programming has reduced numbers. The number of people who are actually buying memberships is reduced. I'm just worried with adding 20 new staff with potential benefits and other stuff like that, that we may be digging a future council a hole that they're going to have to deal with. So I guess, yeah, sorry, just a question around the budgeting and if we can confidently say that those accurately will reflect it to covering all of its expenses.
I'd like to say that we always need more money. No, I'm just kidding. The Eastlink Center budget, of course, that is the net budget that you're seeing here because we have our revenue and expenditures. It is true that with the downturn economy, recreation facilities across Alberta are seeing 20 to 30% decrease in revenue. However, for 2016, our staff have been doing a really good job of monitoring expenses, curtailing expenses, and are projecting to come out on budget. Moving into 2017, the plan is to continue to do the same. Our sales have actually started to go up a little bit this fall, and we're hoping that trend will continue. So that is one big anomaly that it's really hard to predict where our revenues are going to go based upon the state of the economy. The second piece is one as a fairly large item, and that is the low-income recreation access. Even though council committee have made decisions that are hopefully slowing that down a little bit, it is still over budget. So that is another area that we can't control. But the rest of our expenses, we certainly are controlling and monitoring on a regular basis. The budget that's presented does fit the operational goals, excuse me, that was established through the operational review a year ago, where the net operating subsidy will slowly shift from about 60%, or actually I think it's like 59% in 2016, and slowly go to a point where that they would be requiring less of a subsidy over a longer period of time. And that's certainly the recommendation of the Health Systems Group when they did the review.
Okay, just another question in regards to that. Can you speak to the 20 additional staff members that will be joining the Eastlink Center staff in 2017 and 18?
Yes, thank you. Those are staffing conversions. So the operating model at Eastlink Center, as you may know, has relied heavily upon temporary staff. So staff who are, for lack of a better term, essentially on sort of like a contract where their term would expire within a given time. We know now that there's a certain minimum number of staff that we need to operate the facility. We can't go below a certain number. So the 20 are conversions because those are people that we need anyways to operate the facility. The only additional cost to that, there are some additional cost of benefits, which I believe are factored in.
Okay, now in regards to just accounting for the staff, we don't count the pre-conversion staff members or the contract workers as actual paid members of our Eastlink Center.
No, actually, on our staff establishment chart, it does not reflect any of the temporary staff that we have at the city.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
The next on our list is the FC. So, Councillor Thiessen, I just want to clarify that the questions on Bear Creek, the outdoor pool, are both answered.
Yeah, both have been met.
And Eastlink Center operational. Okay, yep. Next was FCSS building funding.
Yes, just I guess I'm going back to you there, Gary. Just in regards, is this the rent that we had budgeted for if we would have had to move from the fire hall?
So out of this budget, $280,000 is rent, and the remainder of the amount is building operational costs.
So Is our CSD currently paying rent at the fire hall, or is that just an additional $280,000 factored into operations?
That was an additional that was added in last cycle with the prospect of looking at a different location.
Okay, I'm gonna try a motion, but before I do, I'd just like to ask you a question on that $280,000. Is it significant to the success of the SCSS organization, or is it just extra dollars sitting in the pot right now?
So certainly, if it's extra dollars, that certainly isn't spent and goes back to general revenue as part of any surplus. However, having said that, with the renovations to the building not going ahead immediately, we need to reevaluate and look at our options. Having the funding there would allow us to look at that option should we need it. Of course, if we exercise any of those options, a report would come back through the committee structure.
Okay, this is just me pausing for thought to see if I still want to make that motion in light of your answer. And no, I won't make a motion. Thank you very much for your answer, Mr. Roth. External projects funding, I guess, is kind of the next one on the list. I just need clarification as to external projects funding. Is that like our Housing First and our community groups funding that's tied into the funding program of community social development?
External projects funding was a lump of money, FCSS dollars, that were set aside for smaller, more one-time types of projects. What administration is planning on doing is looking at the criteria of that, and the intent is to bring a report forward in the near future. The previous motion, one of the previous motions around reallocating some of the funding, I've asked my staff already to include that criteria for that reallocation with this particular amount. It's because the special projects funding, the criteria is going to be changing as to how we're going to be using it. We want to bring it forward and be upfront and transparent around that criteria.
Okay. Is there any examples of how that funding has been used in the past to give a little more clarity to how it might be used?
I'm just trying to think of some of the projects off the top of my head that is funded. I know that Vital Signs has been funded in the past out of that. There's been a few more other one-time kind of projects. I'm sorry, I don't have a list right in front of me.
Okay, thank you very much. Good there.
I think that takes us down to safety codes in the engineering department.
Yes, Horacio, hello, my man. Now, I flag safety codes just because two reasons. One, because there's a definite dramatic drop in the amount of revenue that we got, and then we start taking losses over 2017-18. And then looking over the slide deck that Director Anderson had provided us for a potential $2.5 million assessment drop over the upcoming years that we've budgeted for. Is this worrisome? Are we going to, is there a chance that these lines can pop back up into profitable margins, or?
Director Galante?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the lines that you're seeing on the operational budget is net. So it's a combination of revenue and expenditures. And in 2014, 15, 16, you see significant positive numbers, although between brackets, but it's revenue positive. And the main reason is the hospital, the new hospital. So the revenue coming from different permits, building permits, plumbing, sprinklers, etc., for the new hospital. That is basically throwing the whole budget at a different scale. So in 2017 and 18, we're going back to what's considered normal for the department. The commercial activity is pretty strong right now, with several hotels under construction. So on the permit side, on the commercial side, is good. On the residential side, yes, it is low. Has flattened during the 2016 and will remain flat probably through winter, but then the trend that we expect is to go up again in 2017 on the residential side. Builders are basically selling the existing inventory, so we expect an improvement on the revenue side on the residential component. that the numbers you're seeing here positive and then going back to negative is due to the hospital permit.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Galante.
I think that takes us to some other items in the community growth area, particularly around transit. Suburban Transit Hub Project, capital project. Councillor Thiessen?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I think Director Miyagi answered this question actually when it was asked that we have the grants already set in place, and that was the question. So I don't think we need to follow up with this any further.
On either of those two? Transit? Okay. Community Living Administration suggested to me that we've likely dealt with those items. They maybe were mistakenly put there under the parks, but certainly the Muskogee Park Maintenance Garage was dealt with by Council. The 100th Anniversary Parks naming, that leftover fund was dealt with respect to the Canada's 150th anniversary, and the entrance features. So I don't know if anybody had any action on the entrance features. So I think we're actually down to Recreation Sport, the Skateboard Park Master Plan. Councillor Rice, you had been asking questions about that. That was sort of dealt with earlier on. Okay. Engineering some roads items, Councillor Thiessen. Line marking program.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I was talking about a $600,000 line item here, but we have two $600,000 line items. One is MSI, one is capital tax. I believe I was just talking about the capital tax when it was brought up, and I guess I would look to Director Galante to see for is it 1.2 million? Because I'm confused now looking at this page that we're going to do in.
Dr. Galante, do you want to speak to the line marking program?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For budgeting purposes, we ran a cycle of 2 years, 600,000 in 2015. A source of funding was MSI at that time. In 2017 is capital tax. However, we have a contractor working every year on the thermoplastic line painting. It's more permanent. So we use a contractor to mark basically all road markings, center lines, white lines, yellow lines, crosswalks, etc. On arterial and collector roads, so we avoid unnecessary exposure to risk from our own crews in-house, and we don't have the equipment to perform this type of more permanent marking. This type of marking is guaranteed for 5 years, and we have identified different sectors, so we do a rotation on the city in different years, and for budgeting purposes, we budget 600,000 in a 2-year cycle.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Given. In regards to the line marking program, what roads do we have identified for 2017 to mark those lines?
Dr. Galante.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This program is heavily tied with the capital program. So, for example, when we perform an overlay on a road, usually the permanent line marking program is part of that. In addition to some sectors of the city where the thermoplastic component is deteriorating over time. So we identify that. We have a monitoring program as well. So we go in parallel with the capital plan for road construction and overlays and road rehabilitation, plus the other areas of the city where we have some natural deterioration of the markings.
All right. Well, since you tied it into capital, now I can't make a motion to remove it from capital. So thank you very much, Director Galante.
Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to speak to this one. I just asked for safety or ask you, the permanent marker, I know we don't have, but this is a possibility of an in-house, we do have a tendency in transportation in the spring or fall to have a few individuals to have programs. Is there a chance of us, I'm reaching here, have we ever looked at doing this in-house in some areas? Some areas I've seen where St. Albert has their crosswalks, they're yellow for families and crosswalk yellow with the white so they stick out with yellow signs. Is there an opportunity of looking in-house and changing some of the procedures we do with this permanent line marking? And that might be a referred to committee I would do maybe.
Galante?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, we can do some research about the cost to bring this program in house. We will need to buy specialized equipment, a truck, and train the personnel to run this program in house. But certainly, we can do an investigation and come back to an estimate in order to run this program in house in the future.
I'd like to refer this to the committee and with coloring how we've been doing it with our crosswalks.
Okay, refer the review of the permanent line marking program to the appropriate standing committee. Okay, so as we've done with the other referrals, we'll forward that on. I think that takes us to, Councillor Rice.
Is there an opportunity if we refer, I know I could talk about this when it gets to committee, but like could hire ourselves out to the other regional municipalities?
Director Galante.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For sure, there will be an opportunity to sell our services to the region if we own the equipment. Although we will enter into competition with private contractors that they perform the service right now.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. Okay, so the next one was roads, 92nd Avenue paving, Park Road to 92nd A Street. Councillor Thiessen, your questions?
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Local debenture, 92nd Ave paving. Is that going to the Smith subdivision pie area that we were planning to develop in some future? Director Galante.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a map on the screen.
I like maps.
Follow the trend with the maps, yes. Okay, so this area here highlighted in red from 92nd A Street, the east, towards Juno Crossing, let's call this location here. It's about 400 meters in length. It's an existing gravel road right now. There is a residential component of this subdivision in the north side and industrial in the south. We have been experiencing some drainage issues in the area, plus the gravel. So has been approved as part of the capital plan in 2017, and we want to basically connect the asphalt portion on the east and on the northwest here, just to connect this area to complete the asphalt on the outstanding area and to resolve the drainage issues as well. There is a storm line being installed as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Director Galante. It was strictly information, that one.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. That would take us to Information Technology Services. I'll turn your microphone on, Mr. Anderson. Councillor Thiessen. Fire and Dispatch Technologies.
Yes, I thought somewhere in here I was going to find some savings. We're not doing very good. Fire Dispatch Technologies, $1,040,000. Is that a complete changeover of the fire transport dispatch technology system that we have currently?
What that is to replace a computer-aided dispatch. That's $920,000. $690,000 of it is covered by 911 grant dollars. In addition, we have mobile device terminals in the fire trucks. We're replacing those. That's $120,000. Those two are in 2017. In 2018, we're implementing a fire records management system for $300,000.
And all that is inclusive of the $1 million there?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that. No further questions.
And then there's network and corporate services initiatives.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I think we're at the end of this show. I think Director Anderson answered this when he answered in regards to the licensing of the actual programs, that these are all necessary, so, or no?
Oh, Ken has more information.
You have more information? I love it.
Mr. Anderson.
The first item I updated you on was the operational costs. These are the capital costs, so I can tell you the projects in here. For 17, it's an upgrade of the RCMP voice over IP and voicemail for $80,000. However, we do receive $65,000 per year from the RCMP for providing that service. We're also going to complete the upgrade of council chambers. There still is analog equipment in here, and that's usually what causes failure. That's $100,000. And we're also looking at implementing some redundancy for internet firewall and security. That will help with business continuity issues, and that's $150,000.
Very good. So that covers all of those costs. That $85,000 that you mentioned, that goes to the RCMP dispatch, and that's the money that we get back. Is that reflected in this, like the addition, subtraction? This is our overall total.
Yes, we're upgrading the equipment, but every year we get $65,000 that they pay us to utilize the service.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, no further questions there either.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. And thanks, administration, for working so hard to make sure that you're prepared to be able to answer those questions. So certainly appreciate that. So now is traditionally the point where we ask administration, where do we end up? I appreciate there may be some additional motions that would arise from that. Should we do that and find out where we're at now based on the work that's happened, and then there may be some additional things that would arise? Ken, is your team prepared? I don't know if we...
I'm prepared. We've gone up a bit, we've gone down a bit, and we're still at 2.3%, which is a $78 increase on the average assessed house.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much, Mr. Anderson. Council, with your approval, I'd like to ask Councillor Rice to take the chair. I'd like to make a motion with respect to the 2016 surplus. Councillor Rice, could you?
Hey.
Thanks very much. I would move that Council direct administration apply $500,000 of the 2016 surplus to lower the property tax increase in 2017, and $500,000 of the 2016 surplus to lower the property tax increase in 2018. In speaking to this motion, I appreciate that our regular process is that surpluses go into a reserve which Council could use to smooth tax increases. But I think it's really important that we recognize the work of our administration and staff in realizing that surplus and make a direct link between the work that our admin does to constrain costs where possible, to find savings, and the work of our administration and our union in terms of negotiating a good agreement for everybody, and make a direct connection between all of that work and our ability to lower the property tax increase. There may be other measures Council might wish to take, but my understanding from Ken's information is that $500,000 should be roughly a half a percentage point in each of those years. And I just felt very strongly that recognizing the work of our administration over the last year to enable us to realize a surplus and demonstrating that that has a positive impact for taxpayers was an appropriate thing to do. So, Mr. Anderson.
You are correct on 2017. It would be 0.5% reduction. It would go from 2.3 to 1.8. However, if you apply that same principle to 2018, all it would do is maintain it at 3.9% because it's one-time funding in 17. So it would be constant at that point.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. And as Mr. Anderson's informed us many times, one-time actions can create a bump in the next year. And my intention in having that spread over 2 years was to not create a bump so that resulting half percentage point increase would be smooth and could be taken in context of a 4-year budget plan development, so that the next council can deal with that after the economy's ideally improved, and council can take a look at that holistically rather than leaving the next council with a half percent point increase and saddling them with it. So that's my motion to apply $500,000 of the 2016 surplus to lower the property tax increase in 2017, and $500,000 to lower the property tax increase in 2018.
What is the surplus predicted at now?
Well, we did the September statement. It was $2.2 million. However, in view of the lack of snow, it'll probably be greater than that.
Any comments? You have to raise your hand and turn on your mic. Councillor McLean? Are you?
I like where the mayor is going with this, but I like to see it all this year because I believe we have an opportunity that we could do for the following year or the new council. I'd like to see it lower than 1.8. I'd like to see the whole million this year. That's my opinion, so we'll see what others have to say.
Councillor Clayton? I get your hand. Rory? Are you?
I support the mayor's motion for a few reasons, but to comment on Councillor McLean's comments, I think that we get through this step and then I'd be prepared to make a follow-up motion in regards to other opportunities for reducing property taxes. So.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Tarrant.
I would speak in favor of this as well. I think that allocating the surplus is a prudent thing to do at this time. But I agree with Councillor Clayton. There's other options too for breaking that property tax increase down further, and I guess we'll see who's quicker to the draw when the time comes.
Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Helen Rice. I too am in support of the motion, and I thank the mayor for bringing it forward, while also still reaching out to try to protect our reserves. I'm not going to race anybody to the button, but it's already been mentioned before that there is a way that we can reduce property taxes further, which is by supporting our annexation area land through the Financial Stabilization Reserve, which would bring it down even further. So if those weren't in anybody's mind, nobody's going to make that motion, I would be happy to.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor right now. Is there any further comments? You're closing, I assume. Yeah. Okay, Councillor. You're good on this side, just so I didn't miss you. Okay, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Rice, and thanks for chairing again. Just to close, I appreciate the council members that were spoke in support. I also will consider any other opportunities to lower the tax increase for 2017. Please be intentional when we do that about recognizing that we don't saddle a future council with a burden. I appreciate the use of rainy day funds for rainy days, and I certainly appreciate that for many in our community it is rainy. But again, I would encourage council to support this approach, which is a smooth approach that recognizes the good work of our administration and the City of Grande Prairie staff that work to ensure that we have a surplus and savings.
Thank you. Okay, you're ready to vote. Please call the... Just a minute, I screwed up. Start over, please. I hit my thumb wrong. Yeah.
I think we need one more, Council.
Mine's gone to the little thing. Okay. That motion carries unanimously. I turn it back to the mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Thanks again for taking the chair. So in terms of the buzzer, Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move that I'm just trying to form this here. The annexation budget operating, I believe it's 1.3 million, would be funded through the use of the future expenditures reserve. And speaking to that, I believe we had the presentation earlier. This was the original intent when annexation came through, that it would be funded through the future expenditures reserve. And I think it's still prudent at this time. Again, as the mayor had said, it is a rainy day fund, and considering the economic situation where a lot of citizens find themselves in right now, I think that it would be prudent to do to keep the property tax even further down. And with that in mind, understanding that future years there still is that annexation cost, and that will have to be built into the next 4-year cycle. Obviously, it will be reduced as we realize the revenue from the annexation area at a greater level each consecutive year. But at this point, I think that it'd be prudent to use that fund for this purpose.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. Councillor Clayton.
Wanted to clarify with Director Anderson, it's 1.5, isn't it, for operating from the annexation stabilization?
It's actually 1.3 for 2017, and it would actually be the Financial Stabilization Reserve, not the Future Expenditure Reserve.
So I'll speak to the motion. I'm pretty sure that Councillor Tarrant was looking for the financial stabilization, but maybe a question to Councillor Tarrant.
Yeah, sorry, that's I'll take that amendment. But also in speaking to that too, I will also amend my motion because I think there's the capital cost as well.
Yeah.
Right, of the 2.4, and that's where you're getting to the 1.5 million.
And then to 1.7.
Or was
capital.
Yeah, 1.6.
Well, the slide.
Can we get some confirmation on the exact number between the operating and
the slide number 7 says 1.7, including capital.
Mr. Anderson.
Well, there's 2 years in there, 2016 and 2017. 2016 is completely funded through the financial stabilization reserve. So we're talking about the 2017 now, which is 1.315 operating plus 240, which we've already proposed to come from the financial stabilization reserve. So if you're looking at the operational side, it's really related to the 1.315 million.
Right. So then that will be.
So then, speaking to the motion, I support Councillor Tarrant's motion for using the financial stabilization dollars. As Director Anderson had indicated earlier, it's at probably one of the highest amounts that it's been. The community needs this support right now from us in council. We're not taking a large amount of this stabilization fund by only taking 1.3 million approximately. And I encourage council to support this, as it's very important to the people of the community right now to have property tax rates as low as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Rice.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Okay. I had a question, Ken. What will be the impact of in 2018 of this decision?
Well, at this point, the 1.3 comes out of the operating, so it would either need to be sustained through further one-time funding or sustained funding, but if left unchecked, it would be 3.9% plus 1.3% going into 2018.
So this is my concern on this one, and that's why the surplus motion was phrased the way that it was. I'm really wary of leaving a brand new council in the very first budget decision of burdening them with an additional amount. I absolutely appreciate the intent of this motion and want to be able to support it. I would prefer that there was direction of a phase-in that maybe of some way. I'm very cautious of setting up a next council and our community, frankly, to face larger increases down the road. So if there was something so that the next council coming in 2018 would have some ability to work with administration to look at the budget holistically and potentially make significant changes so that they can do that, then that's what I would be able to support. I support the intent, but I can't support the sort of structure of this motion because of that, bumping it along to the next council after 2018. Councillor Rice.
So what would be the impact if we split it, like did half of it out of the financial stabilization reserve in each of 17 and 18?
Mr. Anderson?
Do you mean half in 17 would be funded through the reserve and half would be funded through the base budget?
Yes.
Well, it would be 0.65 reduction from the current 1.8. And if you did not do anything with 18, it would be 0.65. It would have to go up again unless you drew it from another reserve or the same reserve.
So
really what you need to deal with, if you don't want the bump, you have to deal with both 17 and 18.
That's what I'm saying.
So if you dealt with 0.65 in 17 and you did 650,000 in 18, you would bring it down to 0.65 in 17 and you would remain at 3.9 going into 18.
Okay.
Councillor Clayton.
Mayor Given, in speaking to Councillor Rice's comments, I feel I have a question for Director Anderson first. Tell me, and I asked you this earlier, but tell me again how many times we've taken out of the financial stabilization in the past 5 years, and tell me the amounts approximately.
Mr. Anderson?
Well, the one time is just last year when we purchased some land. There was about $2.5 million, and we returned about $2 million because the replacement was not the same. I don't believe there's been any other withdrawals. It's been additions to it due to surplus.
So, speaking to that, I encourage Council to support this motion. This fund is not depleting. It's been growing. We haven't used it in a long time, and our ratepayers are taking out of their own personal savings account, and we need to look at taking out of our savings account. If we want to put money to 2018 out of this, I'm absolutely in support of that, to not leave next council handcuffed to a large increase. But I think we need to take money from our savings now and do it accordingly.
Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor. And to further that point, we're not leaving the next council with depleted reserves. There's still going to be very healthy reserves that, should they, wish to fund part of it or all of it with reserves, there's still significant levels of that. I did have one question, Ken. The costs for the annexation going into 18, it is going to be reduced though because you have the offsetting revenue. Is that correct?
Well, there will be increased revenue due to the amortization of the property tax split with the county. However, we are tied as well with the county rate. Right. And actually, when you look at 2017, the assessments in the annexed area are going down, but we're basing it on the prior years or this current year's county tax rates. So their taxes will actually go down in the county. So that, but yes, there should be an increase in net taxes going forward.
Do you have any idea, an anticipated amount, what that's going to be with the amortization of the?
Well, it should be maybe 200,000. It's really dependent on assessments and county tax rates.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Yeah, I'm hesitant here. I think this is short-term gain for longer-term pain. These things compound, and we're going to have to make, council is going to have to make really significant decisions. We're not at 16 million, which is the recommended amount for financial stabilization, 10%. So I'm leery of depleting the financial stabilization fund at this time.
Councillor McLean.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. A couple questions is, we always look at, we bump it to the year after, but council can look at in discussion in the spring about operation overall and procedures, and we may have an outlook of, we'd like to have this money. I mean, we have a cemetery reserve here, which, 1.8 million was going to be great, and then we bumped it up, well, we'll need 8 million. So a lot of those are assumptions as well, and we can look at if there was hiring freezes or whatever we might do. I think there's other avenues as well for council to look at, and I don't think we'd be in dire straits. I think we got reserves, we got investments. I think we're doing pretty good.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. One item, I guess, that again, appreciate the intent and happy to support something that meets the same, just with this other concern. In terms of the utilization of the financial stabilization reserve, this level, potentially over 2 years, if the next council came in and said, well, geez, we want to use that in our first year to at least figure out a way to bring that down a bit. There's also a significant amount of risk that administration identified in 2017 and 2018, not the least of which is the provincial MSI grants. Right now, I think Ken informed me that in 2017 there's $15.8 million in our budget of MSI grants that we expect to receive and use. And in 2018 there's $13.3 million that we expect to receive and use in terms of MSI funding. If we don't do that, then we'll be in a position of having to cut a number of the capital projects. Sometimes we need to do that, but we have the ability to give ourselves a bit more cushion. We know that the provincial government has said that healthcare and education are secure. The Premier said that many times at AUMA convention, but they certainly didn't say that municipal funding was secure. And so that's another area where it just gives me a bit of extra caution. Councillor Thies.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I too am a little bit hesitant, but not so much so as to hear the voices of the people who are my friends and family and strangers on the street, co-workers in my community. And they've been saying for the last few years, enough. We have the highest taxes. We don't want any raises in taxes. Do what you can to make it happen. I love this organization. I love the city of Grande Prairie. I love the people that work for this, and they work very hard to ensure that that council and the citizens get exactly what they need. At the risk of saying, hey, let's go into operational and start paring down some budgets here and putting more people out of work. I don't feel good with that either. So for this level of risk, based on the demand of the people of my community, the people that we're all here elected to represent, I think the demand is there that at least in the short term, they do not want any more significant raises to their taxes. And I'm a believer in innovation and ingenuity of the human spirit and the mind, and whether it's this council as a whole or a future council, to have the ability to make the decisions in the future that will get us going right on the back track, not falling back off the track, but I think that there will be solutions and answers moving forward. And I think at this time, I'm in full support of the motion on the table right now, and I'm willing to take that risk for our people.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll just speak to, when I talk about operations, it's not about laying people off. It's about streamlining. It's about through arbitration, and it's about hiring freezes maybe for a little bit till we get through this rough period. So I wasn't talking about laying anybody off. So I'm throwing that up, but really looking over the whole concept of our corporation in some ways. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. I don't see anybody else in the queue. So the motion, and I'll make sure that I've got it right, and I'll do a bunch of eye checks, make sure I got it right with the mover and right with the administration. The motion was that the 2013, sorry, so I'm off base already, that the 2017 expenses related to annexation be funded from this financial thank you, related to annexation operating costs be funded from the financial stabilization reserve. Okay. So we're all under the same understanding. So I will call for the vote on that motion. Oh, Councillor Rice, sorry.
So, if this motion should fail, it would be fine to make a modified motion. Okay.
Of course, at any time. Yep. Okay. I will call for the vote. Please vote.
Oh, I voted wrong again. I hit the wrong thing. I'm sorry.
We'll cancel the vote. We'll cancel the vote. We will call for the vote again. Green means yes, and red means no. Okay, I'll call for the vote. I've done it myself. It's fine. I'll call for the vote.
My thumb just hit.
Okay. And we will see the results. That motion does carry. That motion carries. Are there any other motions coming forward to council? Councillor Toole.
I don't have a motion, but I voted against this because weather is coming. We don't know if we're going to get snow or not. We don't know if we're going to have a surplus next year. And I feel that I may vote again, or I was going to vote possibly different in the spring before we finalize the vote with the financial.
Thanks, Councillor Toole. Councillor Rice.
When the Dino Museum delegation was here, they also requested that we appoint a member to their board. Does that need to be?
No, we'll wait till we get an actual letter somewhere asking that. Councillor Tarrant.
Sorry.
Okay, inadvertent. Okay, so now, how much math have you been doing now, Ken? And team. Mr. Anderson?
Tax increase for 2017 is 0.5%, which for the average house is $17.
Thanks very much, Mr. Anderson. Do we have any additional information that we require? Councillor Tarrant.
Just one question on the the anticipated surplus for year-end 2016 right now is just over $2 million. Is that? $2 million. Right, and we allocated $1 million. So there's so to answer Councillor O'Toole, there's still $1.2 million projected surplus for this year should there be snow removal costs or whatnot.
And by policy, that would be forwarded to the appropriate reserves. Okay, Councillor Rice.
Didn't we Also spend some money out of that stabilization for the Bear Creek. Before, isn't that where we suggested we fund the additional overage for the Bear Creek Festival?
No, from the council chose to fund the Bear Creek Folk Music Festival previously out of any potential 2016 surplus. So the $2.2 million that was mentioned, I believe, already took that into account.
That's what I was asking. Did it take it into account? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think the only other piece of business is to refer the changes to the 2017-2018 budget to council for approval. Is that correct? Ken? That's our typical process. Can I have a motion for that referral? Councillor McLean?
I'll move that we refer this to the next council for property increase taxes.
For the
new number, 0.5%.
That we refer the amendments to the 2017-2018 budgets to council for approval. Okay, thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Did everybody get that one right on your keypads? Okay, let's see. That motion carries unanimously, and I believe that concludes our business for today. Thank you.